He was abandoned by his mother. He worked on the streets even when it was cold to survive. Yet one day he awakened a superpower and managed to enter a place where he was the only one who reached the room where the most powerful object in the whole world was guarded, known as the Eye of Matrix. This story begins on a rainy night, where a woman was walking very weakly along the street with a baby in her arms. Because of how tired she is, she arrives at an orphanage where she leaves him with an acquaintance of hers, promising she will return with medicine. But before she realizes it, she disappears, and nothing more was ever known about her. Thus 18 years went by. We find ourselves at a festival where the little one is already a full-grown man. His name is Lou, and he is our protagonist, and we see him with a little girl and her dear little sister who asks him for some sweets. Yet he denies the request, since they must save to buy new clothes, besides paying his school tuition. Still she makes big eyes at him, and that does not work either, so she uses her secret weapon and calls him stingy, making our protagonist uncomfortable, so he buys the candy. Later she says she will eat half and invite him to the rest. Only he, as the good brother he is, says that with a single little ball it will be enough, so she should enjoy. While they are walking, they hear some boys talking about a guy who got super strength out of nowhere and could hang almost a ton. That awakens curiosity in our Lou. Now his sister pulls him so they can see a real fire magician. Since they are all the way in the back, they cannot see well, so he lifts her so at least she can watch. Only she is heavy for him, so he thinks of slipping through the crowd to get ahead, yes, pushing a bit. When they get near the man's fire, something happens inside him, and he is even more astonished because maybe this is not a trick but a true superpower. After the show ends, the little one wants to ask the guy to teach her to do that amazing fire trick, so both of them could earn money later with that, quite the visionary. Yet although he hesitates, he thinks nothing would happen if they just look, so they sneak in to see the fire guy and find him with other men who shoot tranquilizer darts at him. Hearing this, the little one screams in fright, so they come out of hiding, and he says they were only looking for the bathroom and got lost. The men in black tell them they are firefighters, and since the fire magician had no license for that, they will take him for an investigation. So both play dumb and withdraw. On leaving, they run into a boy who asks them for information about what happened in the place they just left. Yet our leads ignore him and go. Then Lou senses that the little magician truly has a superpower, so he is very thoughtful about the subject of superpowers, which worries the little one. She tells him not to call her by her name but only brother. Still she says they are not of the same blood. So our lead says if she will not do it, he will return her to the orphanage. She answers that if that happens, she will escape again and come back to him. Oh, how lovely. Then he asks what she would do if there were more people with superpowers than normal people. She simply says she would be the best, such a great answer, and if that happened, she would protect him. So he only needs to know how to cook delicious food for her, so small and pushy. Later, on the way, they greet the lady who took care of them both when they were in the orphanage and head to their room. Turning on the television, the little one is watching news about superpowered folks. Our lead is in clothes for cooking, very manly by the way. Then he says he will make noodles, only seeing there is no sauce he says he will go buy it. Then the little one asks him to buy instant noodles. He refuses and steps closer to touch her forehead with his knuckle and says, "Silly girl." She turns away and starts crying. Well, she only pretends, yet it works, so Lou says he will go buy those instant little noodles she wants. On the way he feels very cold and remembers what happened in childhood. How, in the orphanage, the others beat him, and the only one who helped him was the little one. When he grew up he lived alone and tells us that many times she went to where he was, but he sent her back to the orphanage for her own good, and she escaped and always returned to him because she wants to be by his side. So he decided to raise her. Back to the present, he does not notice the traffic light and Truckkuin runs him over. Calm down, he does not die or fall, since he is saved by his pendant nut that he wears on his neck, even from when he was a baby. Then it does strange things to his body, and thus he comes back to life and immediately complains to the guy who ran him over, and the man escapes super fast in his truck. He goes to the store to buy, but not noticing the blood on his face, he scares the shopkeeper. Arriving home, his sister interrogates him. He says he crashed with a car, only he is not hurt, so she understands he hit a car and the driver bled a lot. Yes or no? The brother tells her not to say nonsense and to prepare her own videos. In the shower he realizes he truly has no wounds, yet he sees something on his hand that shines, so in his bed he manages to summon a hologram screen where he recalls the points he got by scaring people earlier and thinks maybe he awakened his superpower, and he sets out to become the next Demon King. Oh no, what a baddie. So he opens a roulette and spends all his points. Until he obtains a remodeling fruit. As he chews, he feels peace, only nothing else happens. He keeps spinning the roulette like a full-on gambler until, on his last try, he obtains a scroll that, when he reads it like a song, transports him to his astral world, where he can still talk with his little sister. so he makes her angry, all to obtain points for his roulette. Later, during lunch, he feels the presence of something, so he goes out to investigate. He sees people jumping across rooftops. Then they notice him, so he hides like a little strawberry. Yet they discover him anyway, and he says he went to pick up his dried radishes. Since they do not feel power coming from him, they stop interrogating and leave. Back at home, he keeps watching from his window, realizing he can sense them, only apparently they cannot sense him. While he is sighing in relief, his little sister spooks him by appearing from nowhere behind him. She asks what he found. Then they hear a sound. Checking, they notice a man has fallen. It is the fire magician. He thinks the fire he saw on the news may have been caused by him, and that is why the men in black were chasing him. The little one pokes him with a tiny twig. "What are you doing, girl? That man could burn you." So he decides to call emergency services, so the guy will pay when he wakes up, which angers the fire magician a little. Our lead realizes he is pretending to faint when he is not. With that clear in mind, he decides to kick him out of his yard, which makes the little fire mage grumble even more, while it earns many points for our Lou, who smiles like a full demon king. The guy gets up asking for water, yet our lead gives him snow, and on top of that the ungrateful fellow spits. Then the little mage tries to burn him again and again, and it does not work. Since our lead is overpowered, already exhausted, the guy says it was only a little joke, so our lead just says, "Get lost." Back home, the little one is worried because the magician tried to burn her brother. He says that Blockhead was too weak for him, so nothing happened to him. The little girl only laughs at him and tells him to show his superpower. Then he gets the hiccups for walking half-naked in the street. Later, in our lead's room, he thinks he still has nothing to show. So he checks his options menu and buys something interesting and eats it, which gives him the superpower of being very strong, lifting his bed with one hand only. Nice dog. After that, while classmates chat about the fire magician who caused fires and havoc in the city to escape, our lead makes some of them angry to gain points to play his roulette. The next day he is selling duck eggs as always when he sees some classmates pass by. They turn the other way without greeting him just because he is selling on the street. What brats. What is wrong with earning one's daily bread honorably? Moving on. Then the class pest comes to bother him. Lou applies social pressure so he buys all his little eggs. What a visionary. The jerk wants to use his credit card to avoid paying, knowing Lou lacks the device to process such payments. Then a girl named Cow arrives and lends him money so our lead need not give them away. In the end, the guy leaves without the eggs. Big stuns for Lou. In class, he watches a video about the classification of the awakened, ranging from rank F to rank A, so he realizes he is barely in rank F. Just then he senses someone has awakened a superpower and uses the chance to tease them, producing negative emotions in his classmates as they get angry at him, so he earns little points for his roulette, obviously. Then everyone goes where the awakened one is. Since it was true, yes, awakened, that is what they call those who now obtain superpowers, according to what they tell him. The guy got sassy with his teacher and is about to throw him from the rooftop that is over 20 floors. Tun, so our lead enters the scene like a total badass, baffling him with nonsense to distract him, thus gaining more points by angering not only the brat but also the others. Men in black seize the distraction to knock him out and save the teacher. After what happened, he returns to his classroom, only he forgot the men in black are acting as nurses today and are right there to verify who has awakened superpowers. He tries to escape with the excuse that his belly hurts. He is intercepted by a huge man easily 5 meters tall. After they have taken his blood sample, he is on the way home limping a bit, of course, thinking he hopes his sister will not hit him when he arrives. Near his house he sees the same guy he ignored earlier, now known to be the grandson of the lady from the orphanage. He greets our lead and Lou just ignores him. Entering, he notices his little sister has a fever, so he thinks of spinning his roulette to obtain the remodeling fruit, since maybe he can cure her like that. Remember, our protagonist is poor and medicine would be a bit expensive. After several attempts, he manages it. He gives it to her and she is cured at once. Then he leaves the room and returns to give her one more, and so like 3 times, bothering her so much that the little one gets upset, obviously, so he hands over all the fruits at once. She tells him whether he awakened a superpower of producing fruits, which makes him laugh, and they are super happy and content, and he even promises to find a way for her to awaken some power too. Then our lead touches on homework. He asks her to show whether she has done it. He pesters her with questions about school, this and that and the other. Let us be honest, nobody likes homework because it makes one lazy. Comment below about homework if you feel identified like me. The chaos is that the storm rises so much that she shuts the door in his face. Another day, in class, his classmates are talking about the awakened of their school, gossiping among themselves. Then the class delegate comes in, teasing our lead, saying he is the least likely to awaken. He is surely lying down because he studied all night like a little brain. More respect for those who do study and work hard, kindly speaking. The case is that our Lu only says he truly relaxes in front of them, yet behind that he is even more relaxed, which makes them angry. Minutes later, all students and 2 men in black arrive. They call several students, since it seems they have awakened superpowers. They start by calling a girl. People say the quiet ones always hide something. Surely she is an otaku. After calling others, at the end they mention the name no one expected, yes, our protagonist. In another scene, we are shown an epic fight where the January type guy is far too strong for those awakened, who even fight together and still cannot touch him. The real you all against me alone. On another day, class receives a new student so pretty that some confuse him with a girl, perhaps adoring his masculinity. Guys, hey. The desk neighbor of our lead sneers and asks to change seats. The teacher agrees and seats the newcomer with our cat-like lead. We will call the new student Ashen Blonde, who clarifies he is a man, 100% real, no fake, and Lu earns points with him for understanding and accepting his situation. At night, our lead meets the students of the Dao Yuan course, also called the School's Awakened, summoned to receive an ultra, mega, super, hyper-secret special cultivation class. They even made them sign gag contracts so they would not talk about the class. The instructor turns out to be someone he had already met several times. He asks the whole class whether they knew what the NAC was. Obviously nobody knows, and he points to Lu to answer, and Lu gives a reply that makes everyone laugh, gaining points for the bad impression that will serve him to play his roulette. The teacher explains the NAC is like a metallic liquid that measures a cultivator's blood qualities. The darker this liquid becomes, the higher his potential. There are 6 levels in the color. Also, living beings absorb the energy of the sky, and the present talent is not everything. One's effort matters too. After class, all the students talk about their color and mock Lu, saying he had the worst color of all and would soon be expelled. So Ashen Blonde tries to console him. He says he does not care, yet even so he sends a message mocking those who badmouth him. Thus he earns points from the anger generated by those meanies. Clear as day because he ate the fruit and the system tells him that it will no longer be in the raffle but will move to the shop, and when he spins the wheel he gets a stinky tofu. His little sister thinks that his power is very good if delicious things come out, yet she ends up very disappointed because only the stinky tofus kept coming out. After a lot of failure, the protag gets what seems to be something very valuable, thinking it was a new cultivation method, and he cheers up. Now this does not last long, since the power enters his little sister's body. She awakens a superpower, some kind of girl Thanos. Let us hope she does not want to destroy the universe. So the MC deduces that their powers are very similar, only that they were different stellar planes. And since he did not know what to do with so much stinky tofu, he decides to take advantage of it. The next morning the MC sees his old neighbor playing with his sword and offers to teach him. But the old man refuses, which disappoints the old man. After that, Lu sets up his street stall and sells his stinky tofu to be able to pay his tuition and his little sister's as well. Some end up loving his tofu, and others hate his stinky one. What an outrage! In a scene at school they also look at him with resentment, but he does not care, since he makes money with that stinky thing. Already at home, the Prota eats a golden cocoon, and in his inner world he manages to see a universe, planets. And the mark of a tree on his hand reacts and a sword appears. Very excited to be at his first stellar level, he tries to control his sword and he manages it, ending up very tired but happy. The next day in class everyone talks about 3 awakened ones who robbed a bank, and some foolish students say they should do something and mock Lu. The delegate bully offers him a job, but he refuses and says he is already happy as he is and that the unfortunate one is someone else. He mocked him to his face. Already in the special class, Instructor Sure teaches them to use spirit stones filled with power and shows a cultivation method that will raise brute strength to a superhuman level. But this does not help the MC much when he tries it, since his stellar plane was too fierce and rejects it. In the morning he meets his neighbor, who again was playing with his sword. He watches him, and the old man notes his interest and offers again to teach him. But the feline one had already left. In class the MC asks the ashy blonde how to combine his attributes, and this one explains how to get to that point, but he ends up embarrassed and leaves, leaving the pine one unable to copy his homework. In the hall, the delegate again challenges the MC to a one-sided bout, making him angry, since he is beaten with both arms. To make him rage even more he says he, ISRL, managed to awaken his superhuman strength. And so he earns many anger points for his roulette. His friend asks him about it, and he brags about how he awakened, not stopping thanking the bully. He recommends that he notify the instructor, and they talk about how he belongs to a very elite department. By night, masked people appear near our Lu's house. He worries, but they were not looking for him, they came to see the neighbor. It turns out the old man was the ex-leader of the Tianlu group, the most powerful group of the High Awakened. The new young leader tells him he regrets not having been helpful when the elder was hurt, yet now they needed his strength, and that if he helped they committed to give him the necessary medicinal components for him to get better. The elder refuses, and the young man respects him. Still he says that does not change that he is the final person in charge of the association. The next morning he hints to the elder that he is interested in learning his sword style, but that he had responsibilities with his little sister and that if he helped he would accept. So the little one and the elder get angry, and thus our MC earns points. Another day, Lu is watching Awakened News when notifications of points start raining from his neighbor's negative feelings, the kindly old man, which confuses him, since he is not nearby to have done anything to the elder. He starts thinking that perhaps, only perhaps, his sister is the culprit. When he leaves the institute they hear rumors about Aguafuco, since she seems to be the first to finish cultivation, and as she leaves she gives a very intimidating look to our MC. Then he returns home and they find you arguing with the kindly old man because he does not know how to explain a math problem, saying that he learned math when she had not even been born. And the little one asks how old the old man is and he answers that he is 81 years of pure knowledge. Then the little one trolls him and says that she is only 10, and therefore the elder repeated math for 60 years. Well, let us understand she is a little girl, which does provoke a bit of anger in the kindly old man. Then Lu realizes that the negative feelings his little sister provokes in anyone benefit him. He deduces it is because Yu's stellar plane is connected with his, and he laughs in a Machiavellian way, thinking that his sister's character benefits him a lot. Later the little one leaves and he stays with the kindly old man, and this one tells him he will begin training him with weights, starting at 30 kilograms up to 300. But our MC says that Ayuan's method is faster. Since the elder does not like it, they will train the old-fashioned way. Lu agrees and lifts one of the weights. In a mocking tone he says it is very light, which ends up angering the kindly old man, because in reality he is lifting the 300 kilograms one. Afterward the elder grabs a sheet of paper, concentrates his energy, and cuts the wall in front. Then he gives a rusted sword to the MC and the training begins. Already at night, after finishing training, the kindly old man starts philosophizing about what it means to be strong and asks Lu what he will do when he becomes that strong. He answers that he only cares about protecting his little sister and does not feel the responsibility to protect anyone else, thus remembering a moment from his childhood. The kindly old man says he will keep teaching him with a saber. The next day the elder teaches phrases to you, and Jean appears unexpectedly. The old man asks you a phrase, and she answers wrong, which makes both of them angry immediately. Immediately at the academy, Lu receives points coming from the elder and from Jean, which worries him and he returns home. He introduces himself to Jean, and this one tells the kindly old man that he likes him and that he should take him as a disciple, but the elder refuses. Before leaving, he tells the old man that there are already many ruins that could reappear and asks him to please have his association not meddle on activation day. Later our prota asks the kindly old man about Jean, and he tells him not to worry about him. He is just a member of the Tianlu group, besides no one will know he is teaching him to use the sword. Then he asks if his little sister made him angry. So the elder asks the same question again, and this time he almost suffers a heart attack, since once more she answered wrong. When the elder stands up, he hands over 2 vials with NaC to know what quality he has. And at night, together with his sister, he tries the NaC and is surprised to see it turns the color of his and Yu's planes. When he was going to bury them, the elder asks him what level he is. He answers that level Y, same as before, in other words he lied. After that, Lu manages to surpass the cultivation level and gains defense against wounds, while Yu surpasses the first level, thus managing to perceive dead beings around. Besides being able to summon them and make them follow her own orders, thus she summons an ant and a little bird. Then the little one gets the idea to go to a cemetery and raise a hand, but her brother tells her no and takes her to a pork butcher's. Already at home she summons the pig, but upon realizing there is no difference in strength between a real one and his little sister's summoning, he makes it explode with his dagger. And thus the little one becomes furious. Holy Mother, what fear! So Lu promises to cook tomatoes with eggs for 2 weeks straight, and just as they were dining relaxed, both siblings sense the awakened ones and head to the bridge where they are fighting. So they stay watching the battle between the 3 awakened ones and the Tianluo group, and although at the beginning the fight seems somewhat even, the awakened with superhuman strength can fight several at once. And even with a trick of explosive scroll, none of the 3 is defeated. When the patrols arrive, the awakened retreat from the bridge, and Ludes decides to go investigate more deeply and asks his little sister to return home, thus earning a couple of points in the process. Then our Proto watches from on high the cultivators of the Tianlu group and realizes they will not be able to handle the awakened. Elsewhere nearby we see the awakened considering surrendering to the police, although the strong guy convinces them that he will get them out of there. Yet as soon as they discover his hideout, he uses them as human shields, son of his mama, and thus he begins to escape and a dark-skinned man throws his blood-infused sword, which pierces him but he does not react. Then those of the Tianluo group and the porter realize that Lu is on a high structure, behind the strong guy. So our MC says, would they believe him if he says he just went out for a stroll? They do not believe him and the Tianluo chief orders them to kill him, generating 2 fights at once. The first, Lu against 2 cultivators of the Tianlu group, where he is simply dodging their attacks while farming some points. And on the other hand, the strong guy against the cultivators of Tianlu who attack him with explosive scrolls from afar. At one moment rubble falls on the scroll user, but he protects himself. Then, unfortunately, a gas cylinder makes him explode and leaves everyone dead except the MC and the strong guy. Thus the two face each other and clash their fists epically with all their strength. But Lu uses his dagger to shatter the arm and so ends up winning the fight. Then he hears a noise and flees quickly to avoid being recognized. Later he returns home and tells his little sister that he will take her to catch something new. She does not let herself be convinced because she remembers what he said when he made her catch the pig. Yet she later agrees. When they leave home, the kindly old man asks where they are going. The little one answers that they will go eat at Tianfu, and he leaves them alone. They head to the place of the fight. When they are close, our MC asks you to send the bird she caught to check that there is no one in the area, while he realizes that by fighting he also gets many points thanks to the opponent's negative feelings. After verifying the area is safe, Luz goes first and then his little sister. When both meet at the place he asks if she can feel the dead there, and if so to catch the strong guy. She does so, but then cannot summon him because she lacks energy and says she will get it in a day. Then they decide to return home, but Yu tells her brother that he still has not taken her to dinner. He answers that it was only an excuse to tell the old man they were going. In reality they were not going to do that. Yet the little one still wants to go eat and says if they arrive hungry the elder will suspect. They eat at Tianfu. While they eat he tells her she would not be suffering for food if she had stayed in the orphanage. And the little one thinks her brother wants to send her back to the orphanage again, so she cries, but she says she prefers to stay with him and it does not matter if that implies going hungry. Meanwhile, we see memories of how they lived with background music, obviously, and at the end the little one says they will always be family. Then there is a scene change to a Tianluo meeting where they discuss the fight of the 3 awakened ones and their cultivators. Jean begins to speak, recognizing that the awakened was so strong that not even the level D cultivators could handle him, and that the unknown cultivator, RMC, was probably level C, and that they should find out who he was. The meeting ends when a cultivator named Li asks how strong the kindly old man is. Jean answers that he is much stronger than him and tells him to be careful with the level C one, because he is still young and has plenty of potential. In another scene, Lu is selling his stinky tofu. He already has regular customers who buy happily, but instead of being happy he is disappointed that they no longer get angry at the smell. So he tells customers they can only take 1 per person. That makes him angry and thus earns points for his roulette, yet even so they keep buying, and in only 10 minutes he finishes selling everything. Phew, what an entrepreneur. Then he calculates that if he continues like this, in a short time he will be able to buy the house, but he worries about not getting enough points to spin his roulette and obtain, obviously, the stinky tofu which is his star product. So it occurs to him to stay and tell them there is none. Calm down, Demon King, and the worst of all is that it works. In another scene, Fat Li wakes up and starts stealing all the money he can from the girl he was sleeping with. Afterward he flees with a malevolent smile. Elsewhere, Yu gets up in the middle of the night and scares her brother, showing him she finally managed to summon the strong awakened one. Our MC stops to look at him for a while and asks if she can control him completely. The little one answers that it is as easy as giving orders to herself and asks her brother if he wants to test the summoning strength. He says she must be careful because it is an awakened one with level D strength and could easily break the floor. The little one understands, since she knows the house is not theirs and they would have to pay for repairs. Then he tells her that by searching the summoning's memories she can know where they hid the money they stole, and he asks that they use it for themselves, because she does not want to return to the orphanage. But Noah comforts her, saying they will soon be able to buy the house, and sends her to sleep. The next day Lu's classmates are talking about the fight of the fugitive awakened in Tianlu. Then he sits next to his friend and asks him if the awakened dead was very different from the rest of people and if he would have left anything. His companion answers that wherever an awakened one dies there is always scattered energy to be found, and that this energy is related to the great quantity of antiparticles that have appeared, which is the scientific way in which the powers are explained. He also tells him that not only people generate this energy, but also some animals and places seem to have been evolving, and in that moment the Proto shows a listing for the sale of magical scallions. And the Ruo explains to him that people call those places fortune lands, and that most products and places tend to be purchased by rich people. Then Lu asks him if there will be another of those magical products that has more value than the scallions, to which this one replies that he has heard that spiritual stones have arrived in the city that will be handed out in the course for the awakened by the Tianlu group for them. We move to another scene where a member of the Tianlu group receives the notice that he will have to go pick up Lei at the station. And he remembers the mission and the problems that this one causes him. Then already at the academy the welcome ceremony of the new director is held, who turns out to be, yes, the chubby Li from the Tianlu group, and upon arriving they tell him he must give a few words, but since he does not want to, he makes up an excuse that he delivered the thieves' money along with the sub and should pick it up so the Proto cracks a joke saying they can send another to bring it, and thus he earns a few anger points. Then the new director climbs the podium and only says to the students that they should continue studying. Yes, that's all. We move to a room where he presents himself again to everyone and talks about the incident of the awakened, and how, being future members, they will someday face guys like that. He also mentions that the spiritual stones are not gifts and that in the incident a level C cultivator appeared who defeated a level D terrorist disperter, and that if they happen to see him they must inform the Tianlu group. And just when he was going to give away the spiritual stones his companion announces that they will receive a number of stones according to their level. The Proto takes advantage to bother the class delegate because thanks to him he will receive 2 stones, and he gains points in passing by making him angry. Once they receive the stones, Lu speaks with the blonde and gets him to sell them for him, and as he leaves the academy he starts thinking about how happy his little sister will be with that money. Meanwhile, at the little one's house she was practicing mathematics with the kindly old man when the new director Li appears, and the kindly old man again asks you what happens when a distant friend comes, to which she invents a phrase of lashings, tortures, and misfortunes for the guest, but he tells her he had a mission where he fought with 2 strong skeletons, and the kindly old man quickly answers that he had nothing to do with it. Then he also asks him about the unknown level C cultivator, and he tells him that he has abilities with the sword, hinting that he is part of the kindly old man's group. Before finishing the conversation the chubby fellow hears P and withdraws from the place. Who arrives was Lu, and at the entrance to his house he speaks with his little sister and hands her the money he got by selling the 2 spiritual stones and the cell phone he bought for her, then tells her that he will buy the house, and thus he asks if everything around the house will be his, including the cockroaches. Yes. While they both cry with happiness, already at nightfall Lu practices his cultivation and almost manages to reach level C. Meanwhile his little sister unconsciously opens something like a cloud of dark energy. In the morning he sets himself to sell his stinky tofus while he mocks his classmates to earn points, and the new director Li comes over to buy. This one half recognizes our protagonist and tells him that he is in Dang class, that is to say, the class of the awakened, and there the director asks him to give him the tofu for free. But the neighboring vendor tells him that Lu is an orphan and all his situation, so the chubby one starts crying and pays him more than normal. Later the Proto finishes the purchase of the house but receives some messages telling him he must go immediately to the academy, so before leaving he wrote to his sister saying he will be gone for a few days. At night several cars transfer the students to the ruins. They were told they will be in charge of guarding the outer part. Since all of them were Class F, that was the safest for them. His blonde friend explains that he was not very clear on where the ruins came from, but it was said they were something left by extraterrestrials and aliens, and that inside there existed many treasures like medicines, weapons, and most important of all the Eye of Matrix, which, once obtained, makes the ruin disappear. He comments that some years ago a ruin appeared and many level B experts fought to enter, but only level C and D managed to go in, since the risk truly was worth it. In the end, when the ruin closed, someone from his country came out with a sword that turned out to be the Eye of the Matrix, which they now have in the Tianluo group. Everyone talks about what they will get for helping, but the Proto tells them that he is jealous of their optimism, which makes them angry, since he says it in a sarcastic tone. Upon arriving at the camp the instructor comes, who forbids them to say anything about the ruins. His companion points out some boys with caps who were in horse stance and asks if they had already eaten, to which the soldier answers that it was none of his business. Thus they take them to the dining hall and, obviously, they give them food. The skinny bully mocks the poverty of our protagonist without knowing that the waifu was behind him, and in a moment she disappears epically, leaving the delegate bully scared out of his wits. Everyone eats while uncomfortable. But a Karen-like fat guy appears and demands a chair. One of the chubby fellows from those who had not eaten brings him a little stool, but the fat guy does not thank him. The Proto, seeing this, approaches the rude uncle and gives him a slap and hits him. The instructor approaches and says nothing. He only asks that they take the fat guy back to his tent. His companion stops eating, and our protagonist asks him why he wants to cultivate right now. He answers that the ruins are the best place to do it, since they are packed with spiritual energy. And when our pioneer tries to cultivate, the system tells him that he had to sing, which obviously he refuses to do, but he finds a way to swindle the system, so he rejoices. Thus he begins to make his companions angry to obtain little points, exactly from the delegate bully, and he talks and talks without stopping, and thus he fills little points for his roulette. In the morning he searches for signal for his cell phone but does not find any. Elsewhere the sister gets up and, as usual, asks her little brother for breakfast, but she realizes that he was not there and had not arrived. All the students are served their breakfast, and the proto is given a double portion. Double chicken, double everything, such luck. And when he was turning around to eat, the same cap-wearing guy who gave the chair to the previous fat son of offers him his seat. But Lou refuses and eats with his friend on the floor. The blonde asks him why he spent his time bothering the delegate and not cultivating, and our proto replies that he will solve it by arm wrestling him, which reaches the delegate's ears and of course he gets angry, and thus he keeps bothering the guy until the bully moves away to train. But he is found and tortured by our protagonist. The next morning, after Lou absorbed many golden cocoons, the energy inside wraps him and he advances. During breakfast, strangely, everyone yields the place to him. Suddenly the delegate appears and challenges him to a duel of arm wrestling. No kidding, he wants to fight him, but he is stopped by the instructor, who tells him that now they cannot waste those energies, that they should better solve it with the famous arm wrestling. And obviously the proto defeats him quickly and thanks him for helping him have another awakening. The instructor is astonished and also challenges Lou. He thus loses to his student and he praises him, commenting that he will have an excellent future and has much potential. Later the fog on the mountain becomes thicker, and the blonde mentions to the note that the ruin is opening and that it will leave when someone obtains the Eye of Matrix. Everyone panics when they see that even the weakest were trapped inside the ruin, and our protagonist is also absorbed by the ruin and falls nicely into a very arid, unknown zone. Out of nowhere he is attacked by a skeleton with a little bit of flesh that carried an axe. He dodges it and manages to take the axe in order to decapitate it. Apparently it was a zombie. He climbs to a higher place to see the area better, but he does not recognize anything and sees no one. Soon he is attacked by another skeleton and more keep appearing. Out of nowhere, a couple of students appear who were fleeing from another group of zombies. And the proto moves ahead and fights them. And at one moment Lou is knocked down by a zombie and the ungrateful ones do not help him out of fear, but even so the proto wins. He asks them what they will do, and the girl asks him to stay with them to protect them, but our pioneer refuses and tells them how to defeat the skeletons, and he leaves them an axe so they can protect themselves, and he goes without looking back like a full alpha male. The girl regrets not having helped earlier. And she thinks that if she had done it, perhaps Lou would have stayed, too late to regret. Now the proto fights zombies while he looks for a high place with a good view to spend the night. On the way he finds the corpse of the guy with glasses who was at the camp. Goodbye buddy, we will all remember you. Then he decides to hurry to reach the mountain before nightfall. In the distance he sees a flare launched, so he stops and sees where it was launched from. And he is surprised to see that it was not a student, since none had flares, so he suspects that it is a spy. And they tell us that the spies agreed to meet using the flares, and when the blonde guy sees our protagonist he realizes he was not a colleague of his. After all that tension, the spy explains that he is a student but from another city, and that from there they gave him the flare gun. Lou plays with him and then says he was mistaken, leaving the spy somewhat uncomfortable, so to calm the situation the guy asks him about the rusty sword he has and whether it can be lent just a little while, but obviously our proto denies him. That is when the guy says he must leave since he was the delegate and had to gather his companions, and Lou tells him that he is also the delegate, so he decides to follow him, and from the anger provoked little points rain into Lou's roulette. The not blonde, gritting his teeth, accepts that he follow, but he tries to make it hard for our protagonist, leaving him behind when they cross paths with zombies. However, Lou tricks him and leaves the spy fighting the zombies alone. Then he notices that the spy was still alive since little points kept raining on him. He watches him arrive and congratulates him for running so fast without lowering his guard, obviously. Then both head to a safe place to rest. On the hilltop the proto tells him to watch over him while he cultivates to recover his energy, but he only manages to make the spy nervous and to make more little points keep raining on him. In the morning the points keep raining, and very early the protagonist tells him that he is going to the bathroom, but in reality he is going to eat. When he finishes he decides to share his stinky tofu with him, so he comes up from behind and scares the blonde a lot. When he puts his sword near his asterisk, this one complains where he got that stinkiness from, but our feline only babbles nonsense, making him angry, and he tries to invite him to the food, but the ungrateful one attacks the proto with the intention of killing him. After trading clean blows for a long while, Lou loses his sword but manages to get behind the spy and give him a good strike with all his energy, causing a fatal wound. Seeing the guy's corpse, he thinks that the path of a cultivator is full of blood and that he is willing to walk it like a fully hairy alpha male who respects himself. Lu reaches a wooded area and finds an apple tree, but when he tries to eat he is attacked with stones by a little group of enraged squirrels that also give him hatred points. Then the leader of the squirrels appears and our feline runs off with his apple. After seeing the 20-kilo stone that little one carried, the fruits turn out to be very tasty and revitalizing for him. At dusk he reaches a little stream and drinks water. Then he starts thinking about the size of the ruin, since it is very big, and whether he is already near the center. Behind him hungry wolves appear and begin to attack him, causing a great wound in his arm. Seeing himself at a disadvantage, he decides to escape, and he runs into the squirrels again, who gift him a rain of rocks. In passing he also crosses paths with the spy's corpse, and he swears to return alive to see his little sister again. And as the wolves keep chasing him, Lu throws his sneakers at them in desperation, but he realizes that he is barefoot, and thus he can obtain more energy and run faster, so at last he manages to leave the wolves behind. Very soon he meets several injured students and they ask him if perhaps he brought reinforcements, but he only says that it is only him. Thus everyone looks at him and remembers that he is the protagonist known for being weak. Lu asks why only they are there, and a girl tells him that everyone began to fight over the axe. In that, the zombies arrived and cornered them there. Also they had not eaten in 3 days. And they survived only by drinking water, but it had already run out. So she asks him to stay so he can protect them, but, affirming his position, he tells her that he will simply leave tomorrow morning. At dawn of the next day the proto causes much envy by eating his apples in front of all the hungry ones. Although he tells them where to get them, he also warns them what they must be careful with. Thus the same girl tries to tempt him, but Lu does not fall for her charms, and the fools try to threaten him so that he will share his apples. But our feline enrages them in order to gain points for his roulette, and he quickly takes the axe from them and carries it off. But before leaving, we see that God El left him 2 little apples. Walking through the ruin, the proto crosses paths with a zombie on horseback who attacks with a spear. Yet when El hints he will keep that spear, the zombie gifts him a little point, implying these monsters are intelligent and award points. Seeing more of them coming, the lad manages to snatch the first zombie's spear and decides to flee. Still he is struck by a rain of arrows from those skeletons, though he finds refuge on a rocky hilltop. The zombie knights give up, ride off, so the proto decides to use the spear as his main weapon. Elsewhere, a group of students sheltered on a flat mountain watch a squad of corpse knights approach. The dark-skinned albino tells them that if they defeat the leader, the rest will leave, giving them a better chance to win. They see a zombie with neither helmet nor spear and assume he is the leader. Yes, he is the one from whom Lu took his spear and helmet. Some doubt it, still they proceed, since the strongest of D1 were seeking the spies. They shoot the supposed leader, celebrate, discover they were wrong, and it is too late, so they flee. Then they spot a young man surrounded by skeletons who needs no help whatsoever. He waits for a chance and steals a spear as easily as taking candy from a child. Was he a student? One says his name was Lu. Yes, he is indeed our protagonist. Meanwhile, he keeps stalking the corpse riders, remembers childhood hide and seek. How good he was, and that the only one who could ever find him was his dear little sister. Walking distracted, he does not notice the zombies surround him. He does not cower at all, like a bold, barrel-chested macho, and he attacks with a spear, felling a pair. Then with the axe he finishes others. 3 riders arrive and challenge him, yet the proto defeats them all. Meanwhile, at home, the little sister finds a box with another box inside, and then another until she finds the fries. Still she decides to wait to eat it together with her brother. Back at the ruins, the dark-skinned albinos group wonders if our proto has reached the central zone and say it would be great to have him on their team to move faster. An informant arrives. There is a group of zombies ahead. The albino crafts a plan, splits the team in 2 to strike their targets and reach the center. Lu climbs a crag, checks his points, trades them for a golden cocoon, consumes it, and feels filled with energy. The big student group still plans to attack the skeleton leader, waiting for the right moment, when our proto arrives first and starts slaughtering them. The group rushes to help, amazed at the many spears. Reaching the fight, they see the lad finish everyone, and when they approach, he says the whole loot is his, which irks them, thus he earns more little points. Seeing all the armor and spears, a little light bulb goes on for our proto. An idea. He decides the best choice is to sell the armor right now to get everything he can. He did not expect that nobody would carry cash, so he goes for old-school barter. He sets up his little stall, claims he sells cheap, cries out like a friendly street vendor, "Come! Come! Come!" He even trades a 24-karat gold watch for a sword. When he closes his tiny shop, They all keep walking toward the heart of the ruin despite the cold. At one point, our Prota asks the albino if it is worth risking so much for the students, which he confirms with a nostalgic look indeed, yes. Night falls. Everyone shares the few provisions they have. The albino, faithful to the cause, decides to give up his portion so the others can eat, truly a hero without a cape. Seeing this, our Prota is moved and shares 3 of his apples with the frontline fighters. When they taste them, the albino's group is shocked. Their fatigue vanishes at once. Watching this, the non-fighters ask the lad to share a bit. Still he refuses, since they did not fight and were only protected. One of them trades his 24-carat luxury watch for 3 apples and cuts them into ultrafine slices to share them with all his companions. While everyone complains about what a usurer and tightwad our protagonist is, out of nowhere come shrieks, and ghostly zones appear. Seeing them, Lu feels the ghost's energy is like his little sister Yu's, and soon the sword inside him starts to move, pulled by that force, causing him very strong pain. To the ghost's eyes, the lad looks like a ghostly avenger, so they flee, crying, "I, little mother, I am out." Lu notices and thinks he can make his sword grow with ghost energy. He resolves that he will seize the opportunity now at last, indeed truly. At last everyone reaches the central part of the ruin, where more students have gathered. Among them is the bully delegate, who recounts how he almost died at the hands of the skeleton knights, yet the beautiful Yukio saved him. Now he sees her like a full-on goddess, and she even gifted him a sword and a spear for protection. Then they notice someone carrying many weapons sit down and start selling. Yes, it is our Prota who of course manages to sell a few. The Celestial Net people ask that Chao and our Prota meet them. A guy with glasses requests their support while they are in the ruin, and he also asks Lu to stop selling weapons, which he accepts without protest whatsoever now. So he goes ahead and uses his flying sword, fed with his blood, to scout the path. He says the hole leads to a cave about 100 meters deep, and it feels very dangerous, so the best decision is to wait. Meanwhile, Lu checks his point system and notes there are 9 spies, yet he cannot tell them apart. Suddenly a guy carrying an apple-laden tree appears. It is Fat Li. Both he and our Prota are hated by the squirrel living in that tree. She stayed there, weeping as everyone eats her little apples. Our Prota gives the squirrel a little apple to calm her down, and she perches on his shoulder now indeed, gently, there. After that, he reunites with his blonde friend, who boasts of his exploits. The lad praises him and gifts him one of his spears. Right then, a guy with a bandana asks to buy a spear and pay outside. Obviously the lad refuses, and his system notifies him the guy is a spy. Then Fat Li tells everyone he is leader now and that tomorrow they will go into the hole, guaranteeing their safety. The albino suggests a plan. Fat rejects it. While all sleep, the lad checks his little points, and the spies decide to go first. He blocks the bandana guy, who tries to bribe him with a lousy 30-70 split, making him angry. The spy pretends to accept and, when the Prota turns, tries to escape, but he is caught again right now there. Below in the cave, the other spies notice one is missing yet keep going. While Lu and the bandana man fight, the Prota plays dirty and shouts that someone wants to snatch the treasure early. Everyone hears it, especially Fat Li, who gets mad and attacks the spy. It was a trap to force the other spies to rebel. People mobilize and gather the strongest. Fat assigns the glasses guy to guard the students and find more spies. Meanwhile, the Prota admires his 24-carat gold watches and expensive necklaces. Fat hints for a gift, the Prota does not bite. Fat offers business, he gets 90%, the Prota 10. Obviously rejected. The lad says the business is dangerous and Fat is weak, yet he will do it if it is 50-50. Fat fumes a little, but in the end he accepts the deal in full now indeed, yes. As they prepare to enter the abyss, Fat tries a motivational speech that falls flat. A girl conjures stairs with her magic. Stairs indeed. They descend. Surprised, there is light below that cannot be seen from above. Suddenly a gust attacks, making our protagonist react. They reach a shattered path, enter, and see the spies dead. Tian Lu shoves one, says they are dried out, that it must be a trick used for self-destruction, do not worry about them. To Lu this is strange, since it is not easy to commit suicide at all. Moving on, they meet a wall that starts to open, dazzling them with a greenish glow. They arrive at a place with crystals on the ceiling. Someone warns of a trap, and suddenly the door shuts. Out of nowhere, ghostly specters attack, and Tian Lu hurls a powerful fire spell, blasting them apart. Yet more appear. The fight begins in earnest. They eliminate them one by one, while one heads toward our Prota but is spooked by him. Lu does not believe he is so invincible and, angry at being ignored, starts venting on them. Suddenly they are absorbed by the Prota, who smiles and says that if he kills them he will gain an unexpected profit. They keep running from him. Then a guy is pierced by a specter, surprising our Prota. He says it is the spy's soul, and the wicked ceremony is not so simple as one might think, since it easily absorbs other energies to then merge into a body. This infuriates Tianlu, the chubby one, who finishes them with a mighty roar using his fire spell, and we see him exhausted. He approaches the wounded man and asks what happened. The other says he was attacked by an outside spy and that his strength was originally rank D, but now his whole body has become like that dark ghostly energy, his power equal to Class C. While investigating Shinji's group, they found short-term antiparticle energy, possibly drawing in the death energy of others. Asked if there is a way to attract them, he signals with his head that there is not any whatsoever. Meanwhile, the Prota thinks it is the same power as his little sisters, yet this only absorbs the dead's energy. He thinks those people even slaughtered their own comrades without mercy. Then the light in his chest tells him, hit to the left, and unintentionally he does, striking the spy, shocking everyone. Tianlu asks how he found him and did it. He answers that he does not know, saying he merely swung the weapon, leaving everyone doubtful. Fat asks if he is lying. The Prota denies it, says his power is only Class E, then demonstrates again, pointing into the air. The guy tries a spell and hits the spy, surprising everyone again, even our protagonist. They ask him to show everyone the places, so he points anywhere. Now the spells miss everything. One says he really cannot discover the ghost, and another tells him that something is wrong truly here, right now. Suddenly a door opens. Several specters emerge. The leader steps forward, saying, "Whoever listens to me," while Tianlu laughs, telling them to let him fight alone, thinking the spear in his hand is the Eye of Matrix. A teammate warns him to be careful. He blurts out, surprised, that he is not as strong as that one, vanishes from sheer speed, and lunges. The other defends, their powers clash. Fat uses both arms and lands a hit, yet the enemy dodges and yells, "How dare you kill my horse?" Everyone gets ready, advances, and the final battle begins. Our Prota hurls his spear, headshot to a specter, then a triple headshot, grinning. One of them aims and shoots him, but he is saved by Wave Tsuao, who swiftly finishes several, astounding our Prota. She moves without hesitation, freely, and she is very cool indeed to watch right now, truly. So he charges one, but it runs from him, leaving him frustrated because it will not attack him at all. Watching the brawl, our pioneer thinks of slipping into the castle. There must be good things inside, and now that everyone is outside, it is fine to go seek valuables. He enters silently. While all fight, he keeps walking, spots a purple light, wonders why the ghost spy is so excited. He was right. His ghost version is watching from the ceiling. They are in a hall. Upon entering, he hears his little sister's voice scolding him for not flying back home, and our Prota feels it was like speaking with her in person. Suddenly the ghost spy attacks. He dodges in a somewhat strange way, like a spider pose, and he fades him with a powerful spell. Standing upright, he asks what that was. So his back like that, and obviously complaining about his bad luck. In another scene we see the chubby guy going really hard against the boss of the specters, and the fight is evenly matched. Suddenly they stop, yet they go back to trading heavy blows again and again. When Tianlu manages to grab the spear, he yells at the stubborn jerk to let it go already. "Let it go. Darn it. Why are you so hard-headed?" And asks what he truly wants, to which he answers that he hand over the Eye of the Matrix, that is to say, the spear. Right then a shameful moment hits the chubby one, since the baddie spins him like a toy, and for the dark-skinned albino that scene feels a little familiar. Well, even I did not get it. Back with our Prota, he is entering a hall and gets surrounded by statues. Suddenly his soul sword comes out, and this makes the rest step back. He tries to grab the spear, but he cannot do it, and notices that the statue gives anger points, so he decides to threaten it and manages to get it. He gives it a few little taps, telling it is very intelligent, then proceeds to take the other spears from the others, poor little thing. In another panel we see the group of hunters defeating specters, while Tianlu keeps trading bruising hits with the villain, managing to put a karate hold on him, making him drop his spear. The chubby guy takes the chance to run for it, but the villain catches him, so, furious, he activates his power, and they go back to throwing heavy blows. We see the black-haired boy about to be killed, but he is saved by Wu Fuko, who, with some spectacular moves, slices everyone. Meanwhile, the boss of the specters lands a hit on Tianlu, whom we see trapped, being bitten by several dragons, while the baddie keeps locking him in completely, or so he believed, since immediately the chubby one breaks free and, absolutely furious, attacks with his power, getting close to snatch the spear once again. All while we watch Chow beating the life out of the specters because for her it is easy, just like your ex. Back to the Prota, he finds a kind of riddle or something like that, and immediately the villain realizes it, so he decides to go after him. On arriving, he sees the statue guards without spears, when he is attacked by the chubby Lee, who is then surrounded by them, while the villain leaves. Now we see the entire resistance in dust, defeated one by one. Back with the Prota, he takes a kind of golden block when he is found by the boss of the specters, who, shouting, launches himself at him. The block opens, dropping an artifact that, upon being touched by Lu, gets absorbed by him, astonishing our black-haired boy. Then everything freezes and the ruin vanishes, being absorbed by the object, and thus they are all sent to the real world, that is, to where they were before the event. Later we see the friend going out to look for Lu, and he arrives at the master's, mentioning he cannot find him. The man shouts so everyone starts searching, but they are interrupted by Lu, who arrives with all his jewels and weapons, dazzling everyone. He goes to the master to register and mocks one guy, telling him his head is even bigger. Then he puts his weapons on the table, breaking it instantly, which stuns the room. Now we see the black-haired boy walking in the forest, when he finds his little sister, yet she jumps on his face. Then he checks her whole body, and, through tears, hugs her while crying, and our Prota apologizes for leaving her alone at home. Besides, he tells her about the great haul he got in the ruins and that he will take her to eat something delicious tomorrow, and he pinky promises it with her now at last. In another scene we see them returning home, while they are stopped by the kindly old neighbor, who tells him to rest and come train with him in a few days. Our Prota also comments that nothing compares with the thrill felt in the ruins and thanks them for taking care of his little sister. Then they go home and he shows her two surprises. The little one summons the big strong rank D guy, and he shows the two orbs he got in the ruin. He tells her the black pearl is called the soul pearl and can feed the energy body, and the other comes from a very special energy body, remember, from when he absorbed the spectral spy. So he puts the black pearl in the dead man's mouth, making the ground tremble, raising his strength from rank D to intermediate level. Oof, oof, oof. Now our Prota gives her fruits from the ruin, when Ardia comes out and gets surprised by Yu, who loves it for how pretty it is. She names him Gordon, poor little thing, but then changes the name to Xiao and invites him to little fried potatoes, promising she will feed him that if he obeys. In another scene the Prota enters the artifact that takes him spiritually, seeing all the earth from the sky. On leaving the trance he sees it has more functions, so he decides to try them, being taken to a white space where he finds the spears and sees a great door. Although he tries to open it, it is very heavy. Still, he manages to see the ruin he absorbed, when suddenly he is lifted by his worried little sister, who throws herself to hug him. He tells her his spirit only went for a moment to another space, since he will never go anywhere far from her, promising that with the spare money they will travel wherever she wants, truly wherever she wants, now at last. In another panel we see the Eren of this universe talking with someone. They comment it is a pity they did not manage to get the Eye of Matrix, as we watch them eating something very rich and delicious. But Eren draws his sword and says the change is approaching. Meanwhile we see our protagonist enjoying the fireworks, and Lu tells him to return to unbox his new 4K Ultra HD TV with Wi-Fi, glowing with joy. The next day, as usual, his tofu comes out very stinky. He goes selling it on the same street as always, and when he has only one left, a pot-bellied guy approaches. That man points out his stinky tofu has a very good reputation locally, and Lu confirms it, mentioning the first love, yes, a real smooth talker, our protagonist. With only that, the man's little hair moves, and he thinks of asking for 2 or 3. Nevertheless, our shameless Lu mentions he has only one left, and on top of that, it is a sample, therefore he cannot sell it. The guy offers various deals and amounts of money, though our black-haired boy is distracted on his phone, which obviously angers the client, and thanks to those negative feelings our protagonist is going to get more money. Then we notice in the messages that his instructor tells him that tonight at 7:30 there will be a Dao Yuan class parents meeting. By night, obviously our protagonist goes by himself, at least putting effort into his clothes to look like a family father. On entering the room where the meeting will be, he hears they are talking about him. By rumors he only killed 10 skeletons. He cannot stand it, gets close, and mentions he is Lu Su's father. He also stresses that his son actually killed 50 skeletons and chopped them like vegetables. Clean cuts, now at last. Then his instructor appears and outs his identity, plus asks where his father is, so obviously, our black-haired boy comes close and explains he is an orphan. When the meeting starts, he explains to all parents that those who worry for their children can leave the room, but he warns that his cultivation method will be totally locked. Lu interrupts and asks what about those who will remain and truly keep going. The man says they will receive salaries and benefits from the Tianlu T1 group. Basically, the students will be like officers. On hearing this, one parent thinks his lazy son will finally help with something, while for our protagonist it is nice to have extra income. He knows those who stay will be members of the Tianluo group, which benefits him since he will have more chances to enter other ruins, which is exactly what he wants. Without thinking twice, he raises his hand and states he will continue in the class. The instructor seizes that and, recognizing him as important for ending the previous ruin, emphasizes that he wants to keep training the kids, since they entered the Dao Yuan course by talent, expecting that in the future they will protect the country together. With those ultra-emotional words, all the parents agree, deeply moved. After that, he handles the little one's enrollment so she can attend a foreign language academy in Luo City, while also looking at his own enrollment document for the Tianluo group. Not wanting to stress out thinking about this, he decides to play his roulette first, since, after all, this is his power, and we note he has gathered 85,000 negative feeling points so far, now at last counting every single point. He stresses that after the ruin trip, he finally understood that completing cultivation is only support, since making others angry is the most important thing for him. That gives him points to spin his roulette and thus improve little by little. Yet despite spinning again and again, the draw gives him only stinky tofu and, well, other foods, but nothing he actually wants, which frustrates him to no end. From sheer frustration, he starts spinning the roulette with his foot, and at that moment he wins the fruit of the energy sea, which makes him very happy. Disappointment hits when he sees the fruit size. Looking through the light, he notices water currents inside, so without hesitation he swallows it, entering a world of clouds. After a little while, on getting up, he feels his body did not change much whatsoever. He feels scammed by the product and sets himself to keep trying all night. Leaving his room, he notices his little sister is abusing the pet. She gives him only one little fried potato and then leaves him tiny sad, since the poor little creature expected more but it never came, which only angers the small rodent. Before going out, he asks the girl what she wants to eat or what she craves, truly what she craves. She mentions the 3 dishes that came out for our prota in his draw, apart from the usual stinky tofu, which angers him because he wanted to go out to buy food. So he decides to train with the old man, who, on seeing him, says he should be resting after the ruin. He also asks if he joined the Tianluo group. Our boy confirms it, and the old man asks what plans he has there, what plans he truly has. He answers he simply has not thought about it, but he does want to know before spiritual energy appeared, whom the association fought. The old man replies that the group's main goal is to protect and maintain harmony in the world, and of course our black-haired boy does not buy it, which angers the kindly old man. Yet he retracts, saying it has nothing to do with him. He only wants a quiet life with his little sister. Walking calmly, the old man stresses that if everyone were like him, everything would be fine. Nevertheless, there are always people who, upon gaining power, want to abuse it, which is precisely why the association exists. It keeps balance between the strong and the weak. He also teaches a new technique, mentioning the clouds outside the energy sea are the main intent and are also called sword energy, the true sword energy. He emphasizes that before opening the snowy energy mountain, the more intent you have, the broader future you will obtain. He reveals that the first time he achieved it, he also filled the clouds with a lot of rain. Therefore he recommends he continue accumulating. Since Lu consumed the fruit of the energy sea, it is easy for him to learn the old man's technique, even having eaten only 2 fruits so far. According to him, he only accumulated a little cloud, so filling it with rains is a bit difficult. He asks his master how long until he has the snowy energy mountain for himself. The master, all boastful, says now it is too soon, and advises that in cultivation it is more important to make things concrete than only words. He teaches a key. Every time he attacks, he should say the word open. Doing exactly that, our boy wraps his sword with power, and thanks to that he cuts a little leaf that was falling. Yes, our protagonist turned out to be quite the boss. Then the old man goes to his room, and from the window we see him complain that his student learns too fast, since now he has nothing to teach, which only gives more negative points to our protagonist, who finds the old man very strange. The next day his desk mate arrives, noting that despite selling stinky tofu, his house is very tidy. He asks why he does not get along with the others. If he ever needs urgent help, one of them could help. Our black-haired boy points out he can survive alone and does not need others. Now his blonde friend reminds him that by joining Tianlu, they are a team, truly a team, shoulder to shoulder. So our prota reveals he had no other choice. He can only change his future through cultivation. In this special occasion he has something to ask his friend. The blonde already feared it, since it is rare for him to invite someone home. The request is 3 drops of blood. The handsome friend agrees quickly and does not even ask what for, knowing Lu will not say. He takes out his little box already prepared. After that, on leaving, the neighbor asks if that is his girlfriend, referring to the blonde friend. Quickly our black-haired boy clarifies he is a man and his friend, which surprises the kindly old man so much he coughs and spills water. Returning home, he tells his little sister he has good news. Sitting her on the sofa, he mentions she will finally go to school, at last going back to school, pinky promise. Yet the little one, far from thanking him, gets very angry, scolding him that there is nothing good in that. Our prota makes her reconsider, telling her where they were before and where they are now, and he knows the best for her is to return to school. So the little bossy girl says if within 1 minute he brings the 3 dishes she mentioned earlier, she will go very happily to school. Nevertheless, to her bad luck, our protagonist had just gotten exactly that in his lottery. So in the style of a stage magician he makes appear the 3 meals she asked for. Then he sets it all nicely on the table so she can delight herself with the delicious food and decide to go to school. Thus at last the little girl agrees. Yet since she is still angry she goes out to take it out on the rats, because her chubby little squirrel was eating an apple with those creatures while she says so. To the poor chubby one she sternly points out that he must not hang out with the rats because they are very dirty, and she will not allow him to play with them ever again. Thus her brother reminds her that at night he will have a scene with the director in order to have someone watch the little girl's back. And yes, by director, he meant that pudgy swindler who, let us recall, steals money from the girls he sleeps with. Yet with this scene he makes sure that man looks after his little sister. A few minutes later he starts training with the old man, who asks why he did not tell him he sent the little one to school, since this elder had learned 2nd grade mathematics as well. For his part our black-haired boy mentions that when she needs help she will count on his support, and thus the old man stops joking, since he knows that at night the boy went to look for Li Xiao, to whom he handed a vial of blood which supposedly contains Xiaoyu's blood, that is to say, his little sister's. He knows that in reality it is not so, and even though he does not want his little sister to draw attention like he does, he warns him that the Tianlu Association also has a machine that records DNA and knows that the blood he sent is in fact his friend's, so he recommends that he switch it for this one he has in hand. Yes, the kindly old man solves things. Moreover, he advises him to do it as soon as possible. Thus he quickly runs to his little sister's room so she can help him with this mission. Yet when the little one gets up she gets angry with him because it is only 4 a.m., and obviously she throws the phone at him. Later outside he has her summon the tough guy, who is acting like a little madman after Nosopra gave him something to increase his power, and because of that very thing his little sister gets mad at him, but setting that aside she asks him to control him. She wants him to go to Li Xiao's office and swap this blood sample, and then she takes the chance to ask that a little later they go have beef soup. Yet our black-haired boy in his serious mode asks her to focus on controlling the soul so it does not go to any wrong place, while he uses his magical object to supervise the tough guy, and for now everything goes well, but then his little sister through the soul she controls hears a baby crying. Very worried, she mentions that surely it is because nobody took her to have beef soup like a certain little person she does not want to mention, so our boy has no choice but to promise her that when it is daytime he will take her to have a little broth. Then she tells him that her soul has already arrived at the indicated place. So our Lu first analyzes the whole area and tells her to wait while he finds a blind spot to enter so the surveillance cameras do not catch them. At the same time we see the guards inspecting the whole area, and on finding a small gap our protagonist indicates it, and thus the soul takes that path. Yes, extremely agile, the tough guy, and so he easily reaches the target room while he also finds the little vial with the blood sample. So the soul calmly swaps it, thereby completing the mission. Nevertheless his brother warns him to change sides to escape since he saw some guards there. When he obeys, yet another guard finds him, so the tough guy only laughs. But as the guard was about to call others, Lu tells his little sister to quickly knock the guard out, and thus the tough guy's soul does it. At the same time they were doing roll call to report what happened, but since one did not answer they all went to that place, so the situation went from calm to very tense, because the tough guy must get out alive with the vial he had in hand. Now they are very close to discovering him since he hid behind a table, and then obviously they find the soul, and he quickly throws one on top of another, and even if others arrive and shoot, the bullets do not do anything to him. Nevertheless, when he is already preparing to go out the window, someone fires a bullet that does have an effect on him. While elsewhere we see the handsome guy who is reviewing the students' information from our protagonist's class. Up to now they do not know the location of the central matrix of the ruin, and although he is not very sure, he thinks perhaps it was one of these students. Yet of what he is sure is that the person has not left the country, so his partner, the one with glasses, whose name is Shi Su Jin, informs him that some vandals took advantage of the ruins awakening to commit misdeeds and cause trouble. Even if this time they were not so powerful, they are still a problem for the association, but there he throws an important fact. For the liberation of the ruin there were 2 kids from that class who stood out. Yes, he refers to our Cao and our Lu Shu, likewise highlighting that both have enormous talent. On hearing this, the handsome one becomes interested in our protagonist, who is very worried about his little sister. He asks her whether the shot affected the energetic body, but the little one calms him, saying it does not hurt her at all, and of course it does not hurt the body she controls either, explaining that she had previously tested with a little sparrow, and to keep it from dying she discovered one can store and recover it with star power inside the black hole. So she sends her energetic body to escape from the place, which also leaves our Lu calmer. Meanwhile, the Tianluo people are checking and investigating the room where they shot the suspect, and since they find nothing strange they ask Fat Li, since that is his office, so he asks them to examine the sample tube because that object must also have his fingerprints. Yet to his partner that seems very silly, for who would be so bored as to change a student's sample tube? So Fat Li mentions it would not be bad to check it. At the same time we return to our favorite black-haired boy, who is now knocking on his old neighbor's door, and tells him that when he wanted to change the sample tube he heard shots, for which reason he did not go near the place, and now he politely asks the old man to do it. Since the elder notices he is asking with good manners, he will help him, but only this once, and thus, once in his seat, he wonders whether the morning's shots had anything to do with Lu Shu. He also hands the blood sample to the granny, who reminds him that the strange guy had his whole body in black and laughed, besides that he took a shot while escaping, and with this the old man clears his doubts, since the youngster had no wound and he thought maybe he hid some other power. At least for him, whoever today does not hide a great power is nothing special. Then the woman changes the subject and asks why he did not let her change it directly. He only answers that each one chooses his path, and likewise each one will correct his committed error. Meanwhile the Tianlu people are reviewing the video, thus Fat Li says that guy was laughing at them, highlighting also that he looks very arrogant and only came there to humiliate them, and then his partner receives information about the fingerprint diagnosis on the sample tubes. There was no change and moreover no object was stolen. Now Fat Li wonders whether that thief was just a fool. Thus we move to another panel where our protagonist is having lunch, and of course very happy because his little sister can finally go to school tomorrow, yet going to school does not matter to her. Rather she is angry because they needed the old man's help and his methods. Then our Lu reminds her that is because she is very weak, since if she could collect more energetic bodies she would have more options. For example, having a group of little chubbies, since even if she lost one there would be no problem. Thus the little girl downs her broth in one go, while our black-haired boy looks at the squirrel with abusive intentions, and once at home he conditions it. Since it can send orders to the mice, he will give this red fruit in exchange for those creatures following his orders. Thus the little squirrel positions itself at the window and starts whistling. A small army of mice quickly appears, yet she also explains to our Lu Shu that these animals are very dumb and are good for nothing. Before resolving that problem he gives the fruit to the chubby one, and now it turns into a white squirrel, also obtaining muscle in its arms. Yes, a dazzling, stylish little squirrel. Now with his new strength he plans to take revenge on the little girl for not inviting him to her chips. Nevertheless she grabs him like a doll. In spite of his increase in strength she is still stronger than he is. Seeing this, an idea occurs to our protagonist. He squeezes the juice of the red fruit into a bucket of water for the mice, who obey the squirrel and drink it, obviously in an orderly way, even forming a little line. Curiously, each little animal that drank gained not only a bit of intelligence but also a very stylish hairstyle, and with that matter resolved only one problem remains. He does not understand what the squirrel is trying to express, and up to now the little girl was the one who had helped him with that, so he hands the chubby one a pencil and a tablet, indicating that he must learn 40 characters per day, and moreover he must copy these same ones 10 times in a notebook, and thus he will check them every day when he returns. Poor little squirrel. At night our Lu is preparing his little sister's notebooks. She notices this and asks why he is not sleeping yet, so with a smile he tells her to go rest first, while he remembers everything they had to go through together to reach the point where they are. The next day the little one is very angry with her backpack because it seems meant for a girl, since at only 10 years old she is already going to attend the 2nd grade of secondary school, all because she did wonderfully on the entrance exam. Yet our protagonist corrects her and mentions that she is there thanks to the old man giving her good support classes, but more importantly, in a low voice he tells her that under no circumstances should she expose her power, and, well, she should not fight with any classmate either. On her first day of class, the teacher asks her to introduce herself. Nevertheless, she only says her name, thus surprising several in class in a bad way. They also remind her she cannot bring pets to school, and the very oppressive girl grabs him like a little ball and puts him in her pocket, and obviously throughout the class she made several of her classmates angry, which also gave points to her gambling brother's roulette. He is very happy that little Lu Shouyu comes to school, which for him is almost like killing two birds with one stone, and he realizes he is earning too many points. It is clear that the little one's resentment toward the academy stands out. Noticing his classmates, he sees very few dropped the course. He also sees his blonde friend, whom he tries to greet, but unexpectedly he also shakes his teacher's hand. The teacher congratulates him for continuing, and informs him that now he has the rank of lieutenant, for being one of the most outstanding in the ruin situation, which obviously means more money. Then the man catches him by surprise, for he gives him a sincere hug and says, "Welcome." And that surprises our Lu Shu in a good way, since it is the first time someone treats him like that. As with every start of classes they make an oath, and even if they were only empty words, it leaves our protagonist a little uneasy while he receives a great heap of points from his little sister and is also called to the secondary school's office. He arrives just in time when the older students were incriminating the little one, so, as a responsible adult, he takes charge. Yet on seeing the evidence in the recording he apologizes to everyone and even promises these students' parents that he will pay the medical expenses. During the entire walk back home he does not hold his little sister's hand or even speak to her, since, though she tries to grab his hand, he avoids it so she understands. Once up on the rooftop he asks her to climb up too and asks her to state herself where she was wrong. Thus little Xiaoyu recognizes that she should not have let the squirrel hit her classmates, and our protagonist confirms it, stressing that strength is not for abusing the weak, and that with time she must learn to have a balance in the heart. After a long conversation the little girl finally understands that she can defend herself or counterattack. Yet the force she used today was too much against the little ones, and she promises her brother that in the future she will think it over better. Taking advantage of being on the rooftop, they ask our black-haired boy what happened to him, so he opens up and asks whether they should fight for others. The girl confirms it. If the old man or the other acquaintances are in danger, they should fight for them, reminding him of old Li at the stall. And of course Mrs. Wang, who has always treated them both well. Yet our Lu Shu meant people they do not even know, besides he had never thought of sacrificing his life for others. But everything changed today when he made the oath and felt there is a fire burning in his heart, and though he always thought the Tian Lu group were very dumb, suddenly today he felt the desire to fight alongside them to protect the weaker ones. Then the little girl hits him on the head and asks whether protecting the world is not the same as saving their acquaintances, and with the little one's words our protagonist realizes it. So he smiles and tells her she is a wise one, and the aforesaid girl promises she will follow him and do everything he does, besides that the way he appeared today to defend her was truly incredible. Thus RL tells her that this is obvious, since if in the future someone else tries to intimidate her, they must go through him first. So the little one lies down on his arm, knowing that she has a person who will always defend her. Yet right there she asks something serious. What should she do if someone tries to kill her? He gets up, walks a bit, and with a smile tells her, "Just kill him." Now she, very happy, comes closer and asks what would happen if the whole world tried to kill them. Her brother, pointing at the sky, replies that then they would carry out a total massacre. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the kindly old man looks very angry, so his lady asks what is wrong. He reveals that training with Lu makes him remember when he practiced swordsmanship with his former master, and up to this very day he believed that everything his master told him was a lie. Still, Ho used it to deceive our protagonist, and it turns out that everything was real. On hearing this, his lady tries to calm him, explaining that now they are in the era of spiritual awakening. So anything can happen, and more importantly, the boy Lusu has very good aptitude for this. He understands what she means, so he tells her that it took him 2 years to open the sea of energy, while for the boy it took only 2 months. Yes, a big difference. On top of that, the young one only came to practice sometimes, and in that he keeps training him. Yet since he keeps shouting very loudly at night, he goes out to tell him that it is enough with saying it once. But he explains that the act of shouting while practicing makes him feel that his sea of energy increases. And while the kindly elder recognizes that he told him that the more energy he accumulates, in the future he will achieve more, that does not mean that the earlier the better for him. So, in fact, he understands that it would be better to contain it. Once it is already inside his energetic sea, he asks how to fill the rain clouds. Yet the only thing he achieves is that his clouds grow, and this, in turn, results in him feeling more urges, so he spends many hours in the bathroom, and in that place he keeps trying and failing. So it occurs to him to suppress it with his cultivation method, and since that does not work either, he starts singing songs like "Little Star, Where Are You?" And right at that moment his little sister hears him. Very worried, she asks if he is okay, since he never uses the bathroom to sing. Thus he comes out with his hands up to calm her, but she does not believe him, So our Lu has no choice but to tell her that they will go on a trip, which obviously excites her quite a lot. She thinks that at last she will go by plane. Only our stingy protagonist mentions that they will go by train, since she has never gone on that. Yet the little one mentions that the train takes 22 hours while the plane takes only a few minutes. He explains that money is used at the necessary moment. Then the little one gives him the nickname of Cheapskate. The next day he trains with the old man on the fourth movement, which is called Secret of the Point, and he explains that its effect is very different from the Secret of the Stab. For example, when a dragonfly touches the water and leaves ripples on it, all of this without making noise. He mentions that once he achieves it, he will also reach the threshold, so our boy trains and trains. Still he realizes that every hour he has trouble with energy, and every time he practices with the sword it shifts very easily, and if he does not control his inner cloud well, it disperses. Thus the old man tells him how he did it in his time. When he was training the same, he could not even sleep. Yet for our protagonist this is rather something fun to do, and on hearing that, the elder obviously gets angry. So our Lusu continues training, achieving with a single sword movement a martial resonance throughout the environment, which reminds him, according to his master's teachings, that only powerful predecessors could fill their rain clouds, and these were accompanied by the very same martial resonance that surrounds our protagonist, which obviously generates a lot of envy in the old man. It makes him earn many points of negative feelings for our Lusu. Then the old man mentions that it is not only about filling the rain clouds but also forming the river with those same rains, and later a whole sea with the rivers. He asks him not to feel satisfied with achieving so little. Now our protagonist takes the chance to tell him that he can rest, since he will take little Xiaoyu on a trip. The old man, with a sincere smile, wishes them the best, yet he remains highly envious. The next morning our characters get ready very early, and thus they arrive at the train station, where only then our protagonist realizes that the suitcase he has is pink. He reproaches the little one for buying it, since he will be the one carrying all that. She defends herself, mentioning that she still has a girl's heart, which does make our Lusu angry, because with the backpack she told him totally the opposite. When passing through inspection, the worker says they cannot carry pets in the suitcase. Our boy explains that it is simply a doll, and he starts manipulating it in front of him. Everything goes fine until the little squirrel hears someone eating some potato chips, and obviously its instinct makes it move, so they are tossed out to queue again, which makes our feline very angry. He forces the little squirrel to do double the homework he had left it. Then he sees an air duct, so if the little rodent wants to travel with them, he asks it to go up directly through there. The rodent, very confident, does so. On reaching the other side, right when they are about to board, the little squirrel arrives and makes the mission accomplished sign. Little Xiaoyu gives it a potato chip as a prize, and it accepts very happily. He is almost crying, since she is usually not so generous. Then their train also arrives to take them to their destination. Entering and reaching their berths, they find some kids playing cards, and our protagonist politely asks permission to lie down, since that is his bed. The young man says they are about to finish and that he should wait. So our boy repeats that it is his lower bunk on which he is sitting, and the kid, very angry, wants to hit him now. His friend calms him and reminds him that as students of the Dao Yuan course they cannot be fighting with common people. Seeing this, our Lu analyzes them with just a look, discovering that at most they are rank E. Mockingly, he asks the boy if he truly is a Dao Yuan course student. He confirms it and asks what he is. Our feline says he is simply a repairer and takes care of repairing people who get on his bad side. This makes the purple-haired one even angrier, but just then the staff arrive to check tickets, and each person stores their luggage and lies on the corresponding bed. The little one, very content, enjoys the views she is having. While everyone is sleeping, our protagonist gets up. Eating one of his fruits, he tries to apply what he learned with the kindly old man. He internalizes it all and manages to make a finger strike that pierces all the glass. Trying again, it does not come out. He knows that the damage to the window will have to be paid, so he leaves a note and the money for the train attendant. In the morning he struggles to wake his little sister, since there are only 2 taps to brush teeth, and if she gets up later she will have to queue, because there are many people on this train. Seeing she ignores him, he promises instant noodles videos she loves. She obeys in a second. After brushing teeth and while preparing what was promised, his stomach starts to hurt. Once the instant noodles are ready, he struggles to walk and reach his little sister. Very sincerely, she asks if he feels like going, so he tells her to quickly eat her noodles. He overhears the purple-haired guy talk about a so-called black market of King County. According to him, they sell magical weapons and spiritual weapons there, which makes his companion doubtful. She does not know when a spiritual stone will show up, since she has only 50,000 from selling her house, and she hopes each one is worth at least 10,000, so that it is worth it. He calms her and says he brought 120,000, and if it falls short, he would gift one to her. Right then, our protagonist remembers his friend told him each one cost 100,000, and he laughs in front of them. The purple-haired one notices, so our protagonist mockingly says it is silly to believe they cost 10,000. Surely poverty limited their imagination. The guy, angry, climbs down and mocks that they can only eat instant noodles. Our Lu switches to his badass mode and mentions that both he and his companions at most reach sub-lieutenant level. At least he, who belongs to the Tianluo Diwan group, should not even greet lower ranks. He shows he has the level of lieutenant, gaining points of negative feelings from their envy, and he shows the spiritual stone he wants to buy. He emphasizes that with the 120,000 he brought, it will not be enough even for one, so they should forget the idea of gifting another. The disheartened kids sit quietly, and hours pass until they arrive. Our characters get off the train. Then they wait and watch the kids, since what they are about to do does not seem safe, so they obviously follow them, jumping between buildings. He notes that near the car that brought them there is another very close one, in which there is an awakened. Since he wants to investigate more about him and what he has in his car, he bothers him by asking the time, not once but many times. Then he asks his little sister to do the same. The guy, very crafty to prevent that, puts a sign in his window that says, "I do not have the time, I do not have a watch, I do not have a cell phone, I do not have anything." She, being a complete little troublemaker, removes the sign and tells him the correct time anyway. Since he obviously did not want that information and knew that this small girl was making him waste time, he puts on his furious face, and the little one returns his little sheet to him, all to distract him from his main task and to avoid the kids being kidnapped. With the last of his patience, the man thanks her and asks her to go home quickly. At last our little one goes. Now she returns to the rooftop where our Lusu is, and she asks if that guy was a member of Tianlu Diwang. He confirms it, since only they can control themselves to such a level. Handing her the little pet, he tells her he will continue this alone and that she should wait here. If anyone comes to cause trouble, he asks her to please take care of herself first and go directly to look for him at the black market. After all that, the little one obeys. We jump to another panel, the very black market. Checking some things, our Lu realizes this market is fake and knows Tianlu people are surely not here. He also runs into the young cultivators, and just by seeing what they are doing, he knows they are being scammed, so he simply withdraws when suddenly an old man draws his attention. Although at the start he tries to sell fake things, by testing his cultivator strength he leads him elsewhere, where he offers to sell him 2 spiritual stones, adding that with them he will save time in the future. The little old man wants to convince him at any cost, even with the price. He wants to sell them at 200,000 each. Although it is expensive, our protagonist points out that this is a very cheap price, showing that he also has a spare spiritual stone. The old man retracts all he said, and in the end our Lu sells it for 110,000 coins. When they are about to say goodbye, the old man asks if he does not regret it. Our pioneer replies not at all, showing that he has 4 more in his hand. He pulled them out of nowhere, leaving the old man angry and surprised. He also earns some points for his roulette. Then the old man asks his son if the young man from a moment ago was someone talented at the Yaya level. The boy denies it, replying that maybe he is a foreign demon who comes to liquidate spiritual stones. Meanwhile, our demon walks very happy, since he knows with that money he has enough for the next trip with Xiaoyu. Yet he perceives a strange energy coming from a chubby man who is well covered. Therefore our protagonist thinks he is a low-level awakened, so he bothers him to make him sell a magical weapon. The man, very angry, mentions that he will sell it only for the price of 5 spiritual stones, asking him to show them. Our Lu, utterly calm, does so, and they go to an alley where the man takes out a thing covered with a cloth. Removing the cloth, they feel spiritual energy. That cloth can isolate the circulation of energy. The chubby man mentions that merely by taking this weapon and mentioning someone's name, it will absorb that person's energy, or at least that is what he says. Seeing our protagonist's distrust, he tries to show it. Since the person's name is not there, nothing happens. Even so, our protagonist decides to test it himself, realizing that the stellar plane of the magical weapon is very dominant. He tosses the gourd back to him. Trying to leave, the chubby man stops him with a new price. For stones. Since our boy knows next month he will have 3 new stones, he decides to take the risk and buy it. At the same time, when the chubby man receives payment, he says, once sold, There is no return. Then our little black-haired guy, on leaving the alley, runs into the newbie with the little purple hair, who asks whether he is chasing him. Yet our boy takes this offense calmly, touches his shoulder, and tells him there are plenty of good things here, so bye at ease. Saying that, he leaves and comes back to the little one, who was truly, seriously ticked off, asking why he wrinkled her short-sleeved t-shirt. Yes, our terrible Lu used his dear little sister's polo to cover his face. So he tells Xiao Yu that tomorrow he will take her to eat roasted lamb and also lamb soup in the tastiest place in the whole city. Sheen. Hearing that, the little one gets very excited, so everything slips her mind. At the same time she tells her brother they should go rest. Still he does not want to, saying he will first test something, yes, clearly the canteen he just bought, and nothing more nor less than with the guys. He proceeds to say the name of the little purple-haired one, which is Yen Lian Tua. Saying that, the magic weapon begins to absorb his energy to start working. Then, when it was about to reach the target, the purple-haired one turns around and notices. So our boy hides fast. He wonders if the canteen's effect is that when he says a person's name, that person will turn around to look at him. Now he does not give up, he tries again. Only this time he causes the guy tremendous pain, so much that even the one in the car hears it. Thus our protagonist knows that with this magic weapon in the future it will be easy to find spies. Next day, he obviously takes his little sister to eat lamb soup. There he uses the chance to annoy the cook by asking for more meat each time. Then they even take the mascot's portion since it was taking forever to eat. That makes the tiny one so angry that he snaps his chopstick. So once outside, he gives the apple so the squirrel can evolve, and this time a little tuft grows on its head. Well, after that they head to the bus that will take them to the Sun and Moon Mountain to learn more about the place. Yet, as they are about to board, they meet not only the chubby one but also the newbies. Then, once on the road, the guide mentions that the Sun and Moon Mountain is related to Princess Wen Chun. As the story goes, King Tan gave her a treasure mirror so that Princess Chun, who was traveling westward for her wedding, could see in the mirror the image of her family and home. But when she had it and looked, she saw only her own face of fatigue, which obviously angered her, and she threw it from the carriage. It split in two, falling atop two small mountains. The first half faced west and reflected the image of the twilight, while the other half faced east and reflected the light of the moon. Thus the place was named Sun and Moon Mountain. Later they reach the area where everyone starts camping. So our boy and his little sister talk about what brings them happiness. Of course the little one answers that eating together with him does. Nevertheless, her joy is short-lived, because she notices a certain delinquent's presence. Yes, the blonde fire mage who not only escaped from the Tianluo people, but whose energy flow is now stronger than last time, at least at the intermediate level. Curiosity high, he asks his little sister to return to the tent. He will be back in a bit. He follows the unlicensed blonde motorcyclist, who had met the chubby one in a far tent. Our protagonist listens, learning from their mouths that the lake ruin will soon open. They want to obtain the magic weapons there and sell them to foreigners. Likewise, the chubby one has a compass to identify the treasure mirror. Yes, the very same one Princess Chun threw. Our little black-haired guy will not allow that. Seeing their only mobility is that bike, he imbues himself with spiritual energy to hide his identity. Then he hefts the bike and runs ahead of the blonde motorcyclist. Total boss. After some distance, he jumps over a crowd, who panic and notify the authorities. Meanwhile, the other two keep chasing him. Realizing they will not catch up, they decide to run 10 kilometers at night towards Sun and Moon Mountain. No choice left. At the same time, the Tianlu group is informed about a guy running while carrying a motorcycle. They are alarmed, thinking it is a rank-something cultivator. After a while, our protagonist reaches the famed mountain, using energy circulation detection to find the treasure mirror, or at least half of it. He detects the spot, digs with a spear, passes nasty traps, and reaches the object. When he applies spiritual energy, it blinds him. He curses it as a trash mirror and drops it on the table, while criticizing Princess Chen's father for deceiving his daughter. Then the two delinquents arrive, see someone has already opened a hole, and say they will set the place on fire. Our boy begs them not to. He will hand over the treasure mirror right there. They agree, he throws it to them. The blonde tests it with a bit of spiritual energy. Since they were both looking, they are left totally blind. Our Lu Su knew exactly what would happen, slips out coolly, then not satisfied snatches the object too. Of course the fire guy will not allow it. He shoots a bit of his flamethrower. Our little black-haired one dodges easily, and that strike hits the chubby one directly. So our young man steals the bike again and carries it off. Both fools try to follow, tumble down the mountain, and from sunrise they watch him sprint away at full tilt. After hours of walking, both are stopped by a Tianluo car. They are asked whether they know anything about the complaint regarding a guy carrying a motorcycle. Seeing them at night with suspicious clothes, they decide to interrogate. The pair attempts escape, which only provokes the squad leader, a rank B cultivator. He shakes the earth and snares the chubby one with vines. As for the fiery kid, he was about to hurl a very powerful energy sphere he was carrying. But the little blonde wants to live, so he surrenders. Once handcuffed, they are interrogated on the spot. Even if both tell the truth, the leader does not believe a single thing, even scolding them for disrespecting Princess Chen's father. Meanwhile, our Lu reaches his little sister, who was sitting nicely, very worried about him. When he tells her he found the treasure, she asks him to give it to her. Obviously he refuses since he knows what is coming, and she gets angry just like that. At the same time, he sees Tianluo trucks and realizes they captured the two delinquents. He also meets his friend, who tells him that Dao Yuan course achievers may enter the ruin that will soon open here. Next morning, everyone is pestering the guide because they must go back. Tianlu blocks the way. The poor guide, lost about what to do and wanting to avoid the crowds shouting, sees our Prota and asks where he is going. Our boy replies he will enter Kion Lake, telling everyone the ruin will soon open, surprising them all, and the newbie with the little purple hair as well. New Es Sol presents his ID to the Tianluo officer. Obviously his little sister had none, so at first they will not let her pass. Yet their friend resolves it. Here our little black-haired one senses a very strong power from a kindly old gray-haired man, a high commander of Tianluo. Elsewhere, foreign spies gather. Their leader announces they were sent to exterminate the kindly old man, whose name is Chain Isle, while they will eliminate other forces inside the ruin to seize the Matrix Eye. Back with our Lu, he recalls that while speaking with the old man about Nidin, the elder told him this is Tianluo #1 expert of the East, talented in martial arts and named Prince Shtin. With his presence at the border, no foreign intruder dares cross. Yet he reveals the #1 always stays with Tianluo #2, called Shai Weixin, who, despite lacking cultivation ability, opened a new path, very talented, truly a strategist. He also mentions a Tianluo guarding the southern border. Old Chain Isle, very powerful and with a bad temper. After walking with his little sister and friend, they meet a chubby cultivator who introduces himself as Chan Swan, at complete level E. The first to present himself is the blonde albino, stressing he is initial level D. The chubby one, seeing him, falls in love, thinking he is a slim short-haired girl. So the albino bursts his bubble by saying he is a man, which obviously shatters the chubby one's illusions. He almost goes all in. Then they meet another guy, a little purple-haired initial level D. With him they talk about the great Ku who appears right then. Although the chubby one greets her kindly, he is totally ignored, which makes the little purple-haired one laugh. So the chubby asks him to try too. With high swagger he goes in with full confidence, coldly rejected. Our Ice Queen had only approached to greet our Prota and company. Once done, she simply leaves. Later our boy takes the little one to snap photos by the lakes, meeting Chin Bailey, who invites them to stay with him. He knows both are powerful and hide their abilities. He reassures them that with him their secrets are safe. Nevertheless, our Prota and the little one want to leave, yet the old man shouts. He will not allow it. With only that shout, the elder kills several flying says nearby and even makes the small lake tremble. After a bit, clouds and fog begin to gather so much that at night it becomes denser, and the gates to the new ruin finally open. Everyone advances ready with backpacks. The chubby asks about the little one. The old man says she is far stronger than him. Worry about yourself. Our protagonist, holding his little sister's hand, tells her that when they enter, head for the ruin's center, where there is more energy, since they will meet there. She nods, feeling overjoyed to finally fight right at her brother's side. Then our little black-haired one sees the new ruin, pure forest. He is transported to a spot with a group of very nervous students, calmed by the group's alpha, an orange-haired one named Wanji, said to have level A qualities. Everyone wants him to lead. They are told the first task is to find the direction to advance. Someone suggests following the sun's position, but looking up, they see it is a very bad idea. So our Prota mentions climbing trees to see if there are mountains or anything. The alpha asks our Lu to climb a tree to check. He says he is feeling lazy, which angers everyone. Minutes later he climbs anyway, but tells those below nothing. Grabbing a snake, he pulls its teeth, realizing negative feelings in this monster. Even alone, repeat constantly. In a while it would be a great number. He plans to do that with other monsters he sees. He comes down and finds bones of a dead animal beneath the tree. He tries to tell the others, but they do not believe him whatsoever. So our prota decides to camp there and stay while the other students leave. Elsewhere, our tiny one meets a small tiger or cat, or whatever that creature is. It growls at our girl, so she returns the same face right back. Everyone is startled on hearing the footsteps of a huge monster. They were the steps of this giant boar, which even unleashes a roar as if to show off before our little one. She will not be intimidated, so she releases her guardian spirit. Meanwhile, our boy, sipping his rich soup, receives the negative feeling points from the animals being affected by his little sister. Yes, the dear little bully to bad beasts. Then he notices other animals drawing near. The last animal was a lizard, yet as it passes near a tree, it is seized by it. And the same thing was happening to the students. Although on the lizard's side, since it was not the first time this had happened to him, he frees himself easily, although not that easily because he truly was very tired. That is how all the animals gather very close to our boy, who, by his little campfire, asks himself if perhaps this space was prepared by the animals to be their refuge. Thus he decides to bother them a little to earn points for his roulette, yet the animal that approached him throws itself at him first. Therefore he knocks it away with a single punch. Right away the rest of the animals get encouraged to fight him, turning this into an all-out brawl, or rather a public humiliation, by our protagonist who now, like a little crazy guy, chases them with his spear. He has a plan. Maybe in a single night he can gather all the points of negative feelings to obtain his 7th star. Yet from the exhaustion they all stop. Then on top of that they hug him, asking our boy for forgiveness. Seeing their dear little faces, he promises not to make them run anymore. Meanwhile, elsewhere, some students meet a teacher who warns them they must look for an open space to be safe from the plants. The group's alpha remembers our lead's words, so she leads them. Thus they also run into our black-haired kid, who is turned into a full-on dentist, and on seeing them he says he is simply removing the kid's cavities, while we witness the animals' faces of suffering, since they know what awaits them. Seeing this, the teacher asks our lead to help them kill the animals and eat them, which he obviously refuses. He even tells the teacher they will have to get through him first. The teacher asks what they will do at night if monsters attack. Our boy asks his animals whether they would do that. Out of fear they deny it completely, so the teacher and the other students calm down. Once all are seated, the group's alpha apologizes to our black-haired one. He, very politely, replies she does not need to apologize, since her actions are understandable. The teacher also asks what they can do tomorrow. Lusu informs him that tomorrow he has important matters to handle, and as for them, they had better reunite with the others quickly. Likewise, he says they should secure a free space for the night. The teacher notes that if he stayed with them, they could at least help one another. Our lead understands yet, seeing his wound, withdraws after only touching his shoulder. He knows that to him they would only be a burden. The next day, when the sun rises, everyone is frightened because they hear the footsteps of something big. The little girl and the enormous monster, along with other animals afraid of her. This obviously surprises the teacher and the rest, so they ask who she is. She introduces herself as the animal tamer named Lu Shoyu and quickly asks where her brother Lu is, describing his physical traits and personality right then. Since the girl only wanted that, the teacher indicates where the boy went in the morning. She thanks him and leaves with all the animals. Suddenly, the huge boar detects that a human urinated on a tree. The little one, thinking it is her brother, tells him to follow the smell and go quickly. Yet by following it, they do not find Lu but the chubby kid. Elsewhere, our dear black-haired one realizes that the closer he gets to the center, the stronger the monsters are. Even the python whose teeth he just removed has D-level strength. At the same time, little Lu Shoyu is scolding the chubby kid for doing his business anywhere, and these negative feelings reach our protagonist, who is atop a tree watching some guys from the Dao Yuan class. He immediately decides to come down and approach them. Although at first they are frightened, they relax after learning he is also a student in the course like them. Still, some get angry because he appeared out of nowhere. Checking his little board, he discovers there is a spy among them, since instead of a name he sees a code. That makes our black-haired one worry. Who is the spy now? Walking with them, he considers annoying them one by one to find the traitor, then rethinks it, too time-consuming. He starts joking with the leader, The spy gets angry, so now we know the traitor is this blonde with a disgusted face. Night falls after our lead has pulled molars from several animals. The animals have gathered in a safe zone and are bad-mouthing him so much that none wants to attack anymore. While camping with the others, he notices no animal is coming, and the spy is also missing. After a short search, he finds him making strange marks on a trunk. Acting as a teacher, he asks for his sword to make some marks as well. When the supposed teacher wants his sword back, our lead does not return it. The spy tries to snatch it, yet he is so weak he cannot. He cannot take it even by pushing with his whole body, while our boy holds it with one hand. Then he stops mocking him and lets him go. They return to the group where the spy, during his guard shift, tries to inject poison into our boy. Our lead expected it, dodges with high style, rouses everyone at once by making them think he had a nightmare, and quickly lies down again. After a little while, as the spy flees, our lead pursues him, knocks him down by drawing his spear. Yet the scoundrel rises and, throwing some nails, sprints off. Lusu decides to throw his spear to scare him. The lucky one dodges, yet is shocked to see the boy destroy an entire tree. Taking advantage of the distraction, Lusu uses his canteen weapon and breaks the spy's back. Now the spy surrenders and confesses the other spies are C-level and there is only one B-level. Stammering, he reveals he heard their employer already had a plan to eliminate Chainile. That truly surprises our protagonist, who decides to give him the stinky tofu, since he looks hungry. Vines quickly snatch the tofu, and the wretched spy uses the chance to escape. Lu, taking the food plate from the tree, hurls it at the guy, smearing his face with the full flavor of the stinky tofu, which causes the tree's vines to eat the spy. Later, when the teacher's turn comes, she notices the disappearance of Teacher Lily. Yes, that was the spy's alias. All the students decide to help with the search, which surprises our lead, since unlike his previous companions, these truly show courage. Even knowing the teacher has already died, he still decides to accompany them. Despite everyone helping and searching, they obviously do not find him. The group's leader decides to declare him dead, not wanting to lose anyone else. On the road, they meet a dark puma which, seeing our boy, gets scared and bolts away. Naturally, our Lu dashes after it because he was tired of moving so slowly with that group and was in a hurry to reach the center of the ruin. His system then shows he can unlock the final star, the 7th. When he does, he is disappointed. He was supposed to surpass the 2nd level of the star cloud, and the 7-souled sword the old man told him about does not even condense. He gets a little angry, yet detects a familiar chubby guy, terrified, passing through the area. So Lu takes the chance to spook him a bit to get something, obtaining a compass that indicates where there is more energy within half a mile. Testing it, he confirms it works, clearly pointing to the center of the ruin. He leaves the chubby one in peace and moves on. Seconds later, the fire bandit arrives with an accomplice to pick up the chubby one. This man is the same who freed them after Tian Luo's people had captured them. Rewind to before the ruin opened. We see the man freed both from Tian Luo's hands and told them he was the buyer of the Sun and Moon Mountain item. From here he explains his spy group's objective. Secure the Matrix Eye of this new ruin, then if both joined them they could steal all the other items. The chubby one is afraid, since Chainile will come this time, that Tian Lu guy is B-level. The spy's leader calms him, revealing they brought a B rank to handle Chainile, one of the world's most powerful B-levels, named Antonio Smith. He will also enter the ruin from another place. Back to the present. Now we see the grumpy little old man Chin Bailey strolling chill through the area, when suddenly he watches the grass turn very brown, realizing someone with earth power is beneath the place. He is right. The rival throws a lot of earth, and our kindly old man counters with his quick sword, striking the very Antonio Smith, who finally emerges from underground due to the tremendous impact. Seeing how young he is, the old man congratulates him. Despite his youth, he illegally reached this place underground, in secret, a great feat that shows tremendous power, though not greater than his. He launches his sword again as Smith hurls earth lances. Both powers collide and cause a huge explosion. The sound reaches the spy's leader, who tells the others that Smith must already be handling Chainile. The blonde of fire urges the chubby one to take out his compass. He mentions to the leader that it is a magic weapon that can locate the Matrix Eye. However, his partner reports that the demon tree took that magic weapon, leaving the blonde bandit utterly embarrassed. Our protagonist's system receives their negative emotions, and he realizes those two bandits are together with the spy group. He then also feels the mighty roar, as do his little sister and his friend. Curious as ever, he leaps between trees toward the impact site. Tree tendrils try to eat him, yet they do nothing to him, since his spiritual energy is far stronger. While running, he passes near the pumas whose molar he already took, so the little cats are very scared. Noticing he merely passed by, they feel relief. Unfortunately for them, our black-haired one returns, reminding them he still has to pull one more tooth from each. Hearing that, the little animals are traumatized. Then soon they are not only scared but crying. The pain of having a molar removed without anesthesia is unbearable, poor little things. Lu continues on his way and reaches old Chun Bailey. Despite his injuries, the elder tells him not to worry. While fighting a B-level bandit he got careless, and the guy escaped underground. Besides, that one is more wounded than he is. Taking advantage of our lead's presence, he asks him to stay and watch over him while he heals. Yet the wretched Antonio Smith attacks again. The kindly old man powers up. After unleashing a strong strike, he faints from exhaustion and wounds. Lu sprints to chase the man. Chun Bailey tries to stop him, stressing our lead is not C-level and will not beat him. Our black-haired one replies, "If I do not try, I will never know." After advancing a bit, the bandit awaits with a tremendous storm. Our Lu overcomes it with spiritual energy, then heats the ground with his fist so much that it turns to lava, falling near Antonio Smith. Definitely, our protagonist is a real demon. As our boy closes in, the scoundrel generates a small tornado to distract him. This does not help much. Lu not only reaches him but also slices his face a little, making the man fall to the ground from the pain. Antonio still hurls a ball of earth, forcing our lead to retreat. Astonished by Smith's technique, inside his astral world he unlocks a new weapon and, without hesitation, throws it at his enemy, finally knocking him out. Even so, the wretch manages to escape, fleeing underground. The huge boar and our lead's little sister detect it. She, without hesitation, slams a tremendous punch into the ground and sends her boar to burrow, finally finding the foreign scoundrel's body, obviously carrying her punch's mark. She reads his memories and learns that while he was on vacation at the beach, he received the mission to eliminate old Chun Bailey. After infiltrating and fighting him, in return, he only asks him for his gold watch, since the greedy little fatty accepts right away, and coming back to our black-haired guy, he is picking up the weapon used by the bandit of level B, realizing that it is filled with spiritual force, so he decides to store it in his matrix eye from the previous ruin. Yet out of nowhere he remembers the kindly old man, reaching him at dawn, and the moment he touches him, the dear old man falls. Yes, Chun Bail was so ultra-focused that he fell asleep. Still, that is no problem for our protag's slaps, which is how he lifts the kindly old man while at the same time he asks the heavens why he had to die, and the white-haired one tells him that he is not dead, asking him how he escaped from the Earth Element bandit of level B. Then Lu highlights that he did not flee, rather the foreigner was the one who ran after taking his strike, which leaves the kindly elder a bit uncalibrated, wondering how one of level E can defeat one of level B. So our cheerful protagonist answers that right at the start of the fight he awakened, which makes the kindly old man think for a moment, since not even with level D force could he beat that bandit. Thus our Lu mentions that perhaps he awakened at level C of strength, and well, even if that were so, for the white-haired elder it is not clear how he defeated that foreigner. But they calm down, set the topic aside, and ask our black-haired one to carry him to the center of the ruin, since he must hurry to recover. So our black-haired porter quickly takes him, going fast and carrying him with great care. Yes, he is so careful that every branch smacks the poor kindly old man in the face, and with every leap while running the white-haired one's back aches. Even so, during a stop he manages to point out with a breath where the center of the ruin is, and that direction she confirms by checking it with the compass. After advancing a little, our protag realizes all the spiritual energies seem to come from the root of that plant. And, for the kindly elder to rest, he lays him on a rock, also putting a little blanket over his eyes so sunlight will not hurt him. Yet, approaching the flower, he finds his little pet Alita, who was about to fight a snake, and the latter, upon noticing our black-haired one, attacks quickly. Sadly for that monster, in an instant it is cut down by our protag, who asks the little squirrel what it was looking at. So the little one plays dumb and scribbles on a stone that it was only looking at the flower because it seemed pretty, asking him to go on ahead to the center of the ruin, since it will catch up later. Clearly, in that moment Lu notices there is something strange about that flower and knows it benefits the little squirrel. Now the little one is very scared, thinking our black-haired guy will take its flower. Then our protag asks if it thinks he is that kind of person, so the squirrel calms down. Yet Lu was joking and tells the truth. Yes, he is. With a swift move, he reaches the flower, proceeding to collect the petals with his matrix eye. And, as this is happening, he realizes the spiritual energy of each petal of this flower exceeds 10 spiritual stones. After absorbing all the petals, something incredible happens. From that same flower, 3 fruits rapidly grow. Our protagonist picks them, gives one to the little squirrel, just as Chun Bale is waking up, and, noticing the flower's fruits are gone, he asks our black-haired one if he ate them. There, that scoundrel points at the little squirrel, blaming that monster. Yes, our friend, a total backstabber. But then the kindly old man notices the little one has only 1 fruit, asking our Lu about the other 2. So he simply says he ate them. Unexpectedly, Chun Bale understands and asks him to remember to report to his superior the effect of that fruit. Seeing the old man has no negative feeling, Lu decides to give him the 2 fruits. Even so, the white-haired one refuses, so our brute pops 1 fruit into his mouth and leaves the other in his hand. And, once the first fruit is digested, the kindly old man fully recovers while absorbing the spiritual energy of the other plants, which makes him smile like a frantic little madman, proceeding to thank our Lu. Since he no longer needs both fruits, he gives them back, telling him he only needs to absorb enough spiritual energy to go fight. Then little Xiao Yu finds them, so our boy greets her and asks what that is up above. She says if she had not found him, she was going to sacrifice the fatty as an offering to God. Which makes our black-haired one laugh and the old Chainile feel disappointed, since this white-haired elder is the fatty's second grandfather. Then the latter tells his grandpa that he killed a powerful foreigner, showing photos of Antonio Smith fainted, and, according to the fatty's own words, with his intelligence he captured him and hid him underground. Chun Bale bursts into laughter because he knows what really happened, and he ends up congratulating our protagonist, who, seeing the fatty's arm and verifying with his little sister's hand, finds the gold watch and understands everything that truly happened. So he informs Chun Bailey that he grants this merit to the fatty, and since the white-haired elder already has affection for our boy, he accepts this merit of the fatty as representative of the Chen family. Just then, everyone sees something small explode in the sky, which makes our Lu think those are the spies, and Chun will improve his spiritual force to face those scoundrels. They leave the elder to his matter, the fatty caring for him, while our protag and the little one head toward the center inside the ruin. On the way, they see spies gathered, so Xiao Yu quickly wants to knock them out. Our Lu, so as not to alert the enemies, tells her he will slip in to see their powers and their head count, and then he will ask her to attack. Xiao Yu asks how they will communicate. He calms her, holding the little squirrel. For now, it is time to grade its learning. Saying that, he slips among the trees, seeing a spy pass, making a sort of signs, also recalling what the supposed teacher Lily said, that every spy had a secret code. With all ideas in order, he puts on Master Lily's clothes, and, making the code signs, he passes calmly, noticing once inside a great tree as well as a bunch of spies. He focuses to gauge their spiritual energy. And, although at first he thought they had low quality of level D or less, he realizes, from one who starts to expel more energy, that they have a way to cover their spiritual power. One checks the path they would take and finds it covered by layers of roots at least 2 meters thick, which, when destroyed with some explosive power, regenerate anyway. Then the fire bandit recognizes him and tells the leader he saw him when the Tian Luo people caught him months ago. To get out of this, our protag, using Master Lily's identity, says he is the hidden spy from King County and came to tell him something of supreme importance. That Chun Bailey is dead, also showing the white sand used by that foreigner, and that, as for the old man's body, he threw it in a pond so the Tian Luo people should take a long time to find him. The spy's leader rejoices greatly, announcing Chun Bailey has died. He also tells our protag that when they return to the Shinji group, he will register his merit, and, hearing that, our boy learns the name of this spy organization. Receiving many negative emotions from the others, he realizes the members of this group are trash. For their part, the blonde bandit and the fatty believe what our protag said and now apologize to the leader, promising to help in everything they can. So the leader puts the fire guy to work. Yet, despite trying and trying, he cannot break through that very thick layer. Meanwhile, one of them informs the leader that a small squad of Tian Luo is approaching, so he tells the fire bandit to stop. When they see the newcomers, they realize they are Tian Luo students, among whom are our protag's friend as well as Chao. Since the spies wear Tian Luo uniforms, they tell the students they are investigating the ruin center and people must be checked first. Obviously, that is a vile lie, since they were surrounding them to eliminate them, while Rita informed the friend, who quickly told the others. So Ku proceeds to eliminate the one behind him and the one in front, and little by little he keeps taking down more while helping his companions, because more and more spies appear. Sadly for them, so many appear that all the students end up surrounded, which leaves our protag no option but to inform his sister through the squirrel, which rushes over, and the little one, with her beasts, attacks all the spies and literally dances them hard. With the animals' help they eliminate more and more foes. The ashy blonde charges the fire bandit. We witness this short clash. Since the fire spy only wants to steal what is inside the ruin, he sends his fire phoenix toward the entrance door, while other spies handle our protag's friend, who is barely saved by the great Chow. Seeing one about to throw some kunai, he uses the canteen, with which he breaks the attacker's neck, also making him strike his own companions, causing them to finish him off. Meanwhile, the leader emanates greater spiritual energy, showing power comparable to a level B foreigner, and with a single saber slash he manages to open the door, entering. Our Lu, seizing the chance, is also about to go in. Yet first he worries about his sister, although he knows she can handle herself. And, seconds later, more Tian Luo reinforcements arrive. Thus all the spies flee toward the ruin's entrance, and, being so many, it is hard for them to pass. Cut to another scene. Inside the ruin, a spy who accompanied our protag is caught by the tree's vines. We return to the jam, where the fire bandit is also joining them. Seeing Tian Luo behind, he quickly sets up a wall of fire. Yet one of Tian Luo gets through, and when the fire bandit is about to strike, he is betrayed and put to sleep by the fatty, who obviously sold him out in exchange for his freedom. The Tian Luo man gives him a tremendous, satisfying kick. After a while, as touched as our Lu's friend, they finish capturing all the stuck spies, leaving them in Tian Luo's hands, then entering the ruin with another squad. Likewise, the little one with her tremendous boar also tries to pass. The group that accompanied the ashy blonde proceeds. Thanks to Chow's keen sight, she spots some spies who had been trapped by the tree. A little tree guardian tries to attack our friend, and good Chow saves him. Right then they feel a terrible tremor, and from underground a flower emerges. With its vines it grabs some people. The fearsome Chow makes a grand showing against the monster. Still, it is about to eat a woman, so our little vine girl appears with her boar, which rams the flower in one single charge. And Chow takes advantage of this, throwing her spear into the monster's heart, finally eliminating it. Little Shoyu keeps looking for our Luchu. Speaking of the man in question, he is pushing spies so that the vines will finish them, but one creates a barrier to cover the spiritual energy of those inside, since plant demons are only attracted by spiritual energy. Thus all the spies walk safely toward their destination, which obviously annoys our protag, since he cannot harvest more negative feelings. He pulls out a bit of stinky tofu and, as everyone thinks the air is toxic, they put on their masks. These spies were very prepared. What they did not count on is that plant demons are also attracted to tofu, which our Lu takes advantage of by throwing it at them all. Yes, he even flings one piece into a face. Surprisingly, that last one endures, even felling other plant demons, a real stumbling stone. So our protagonist removes him with his soul sword. Meanwhile, the spy's leader and his two companions have already reached the demon flower, inside which the matrix eye is set. Our black-haired one approaches them. The spies attack him. Our protag lies, saying he is from a department under Knit-In that eliminates spies, asking them to lower their weapons. Since the bandits refuse, our protag shows them the sun and moon treasure, blinding them, and after a few seconds the real fight begins. At first, our protagonist has the advantage, and just as reinforcements are arriving with his little sister, Chow, and the others, the protector of the Matrix Eye also appears there. Then, seeing himself cornered, the leader of Los Espias asks his two lackeys to sacrifice themselves to use his demonic technique, now becoming a spiritual entity. Because of this, on seeing it, New Es Solu recognizes that it is the same demonic technique that Los Espias used on the previous northern mountain, with him now fighting alone against the protector of the ruin and also against the leader of Los Espias turned into a ghost. Yet despite that, our boy does not give up and keeps fighting them. Still, that is useless, for at one moment the protector of the ruin grabs him, and she is now about to eat him. Therefore the last word he mentions is the name of his little sister, for he knows that his life is going to end here. Meanwhile, the aforesaid girl was, with all her strength, making a kind of hole to help her brother, even if she made wounds on her little hands. At that moment the protector of the ruin fixes on another PRA, this being Knit-In, whom she quickly tries to attack, Yet she did not count on the fact that this one from Tianluo was far too strong, and that is how the protector of the ruin is eliminated. Likewise, the kindly old man Chainile had finished absorbing the spiritual energy of the place, with him now at last being level A. Seeing this, the chubby fellow tells him to go quickly to where Lu is, for now with his power he should be able to save him. On hearing that, the kindly old man knows that he is right, so he flies fast toward that place. For his part, Knit In together with newest PRA finally eliminate the SPI spirit. And since they have already finished with the threats, our feline asks the guy why it is that he attacks only just now. Then the famous Knit In simply answers him, I did not attack the enemy in order first to see your battle, and the same thing happens with the Alguns who fought with Los Espias. Yet even so this guy with his high rank recognizes the power of our protagonist and promises to give him a post when he goes to the capital. And well, at that moment a little late the kindly old man arrives, who quickly complains to Knit In, for he knows that he always used him from the beginning as bait. Still Knit In does not pay him heed and simply warns them that he is going to take the Eye of Matrix, and with that said the base, because of which the whole ruin starts to disappear. After a little while our protagonist with his friends get together. Likewise he meets Chun Bailey who, on seeing him, informs him that he himself will record his merits, but that is not something that matters much to our Lu, since he was looking for little Shoyu whom after a few seconds he finds, and that is how both siblings have an emotional hug, with it then being that the little one, far from everyone, shows them the photos that she took in the ruin, making him choose one for his profile photo, and that is how both spend a pleasant moment together, valuing the fact that they are still alive after entering that ruin.